Okay, where I last left off, Sarah hacked Sora and made her prioritize helping the captives as opposed to protecting Lemur, which kind of turned her into one of their slaves. And then Sora searched through as much of Lemur as she could and found out that so, Yu's mom died 15 years ago, and Yu's dad died 34 years ago, whereas you thought that her dad died, well, 17 years ago. Well, so Akeshi found some magazine that's or something. I forgot that part because I don't rewatch old footage. At the beginning, saying that the year was 2017. Well, I don't. I would please. We don't know what the year is, but I would guess it's 2034 somehow. Actually, it depends on the circumstances under which you learned it was 2017. Um, Whether it's actually 2017 or not, it'll clear up for me later. But the point is that we're further forward in time than you thinks by 17 years, and so somewhere in there, when the disaster happened, it collapsed most of Lamu. We jumped forward 17 years, and that's it. But you won't accept that. Sleeping in made breakfast later than usual. Sora had put in a request, and we were going to have another picnic. She really seemed to enjoy them. We spread out the same Mew blanket near the rest area. We went to go check on the trap that we had set the night before while everyone was preparing, just in case we caught something. Of course, they didn't catch anything because there is no rat. Instead, it's probably Coco getting into the food and eating some of it. But just as I got to where we'd set it, I saw Takeshi breaking down the trap. Huh? You're cleaning it up? Takeshi nodded silently. Meaning what? Takeshi's shoulders slumped and he let out a big sigh. He looked pathetic. I couldn't say anything else. He figured out it wasn't a rat, but he didn't want to say well how, because he probably knows who ate the food. Anyway, because remember that he was having a beer with nobody, so he might know Coco or something. When we had finally got everything ready, Tsumugi appeared out of nowhere. She again plopped herself down on the sheet and started munching away. I didn't know if Takeshi had matured overnight, but he held his tongue, though it was clear he was in a sulky mood. Sar and Tsumugi didn't look at each other. It seemed like they were ignoring each other. Yeah, it seems that he figured out who ate the hot dogs also. Apparently, they still weren't getting along. But everybody tried to make the best of it, eating, chatting, and having fun.
せーの、じっけっぴ。
Rock, paper, scissors.
あっち向いてほい。
Ready, go. I lost again.
少年ってば弱っちいんだ。これでもう16連敗だよ。
Kid, you're terrible at this. What is that? 16 losses in a row? Weird.
順調すぎるんだよ。あっち向けって言われてホイホイ向いちゃってるでしょ。
You're too nice. You have to just throw out what you feel. Rock, paper, or scissors.
騙されやすい性格でござるな。
He's the gullible type. I am not. I am trying to win.
あっち向いてほい。
Rock, paper, scissors. Ready, go. Dang it. I just kept losing.
君は記憶喪失中だから、ただでさえ物事の判断材料が人並み以下なんだよ。
Could be that with your amnesia, your ability to make decisions isn't so good right now.
あまり目の前の事実にとらわれすぎないこと。
That was, by the way, that was 17 losses in a row, including that last one just now. Don't get too caught up with the trivial things that you can't control.
もっと自分をしっかり持たないと、知らず知らずのうちに間違った方向に進んじゃうからね。
The probability that that would have happened before it happened would be 1 over 2 to the 17. You need to be strong, make up your own mind, or you'll just end up following everybody else. I know.
それはそれとして、
That being as it is,
敗者へのペナルティだね。
time for the loser's penalty.
はい、サンド出して。
Hand over your sandwich. Silently, I held out my
う
sandwich.
にうに
Alrighty. She squeezed a ton of mustard on my sandwich. The penalty was mustard, and my sandwich was already drenched in the stuff. My mouth felt like it was on fire before it even took a bite. Maybe thanks to that exchange, I was able to get through the whole thing without thinking much about it. Actually, that's not that bad. Okay, well, whatever. Suddenly, someone cut across my field of vision. It was Tsumugi. Tsumugi was walking toward Takeshi. She extended her hand.
あ？なんだその手は。
Oh, what's with the hand?
まさか、お手か。
Like a dog. Shake, girl.
バカにすんな。
And you'll probably say, don't make fun of me.
本当にバカね。
You're really dumb, you know that?
おかわりということではないでしょうか。
Are you trying to say that you want another helping? Tsumugi nodded at Sora's extra explanation. She had already wolfed down her first one.
ほほう、いい度胸だな。こんな時しか顔を見せねえくせして、おかわりまでねだるとは。
Hey, you've got a lot of nerve. You only show your face at mealtime and now you're demanding seconds?
まあ、よかろうて。
Well, I suppose.
ないの？あるの？どっち？
So, do you have more or not?
あるさ。こんなこともあろうかと、つぐみ用にチューニングしたスペシャルタツタがな。
I do. I thought you might want more, so I made a special one for you. Special? I had a bad feeling about the whole thing.
ほれ食え。残さず食えよ。
Eat this, and no leftovers. Tsumugi took the sandwich without saying anything. Takeshi stared at Tsumugi as she took the wrap off the sandwich.
何よ。
What?
いやあんまり美人だとついつい包装紙を取り去る姿にさえ見とれてしまうななんて。
Takeshi, you are very bad at pulling pranks. Nothing, it's just that you're so beautiful. I can't take my eyes off you even when you're just removing a sandwich wrapper.
手のつけようのないバカね。
Your stupidity is terminal.
まあ、あと50回くらい死ねば治るかもしれないけど。
Maybe if you died 50 times, it would help. And he probably has. And it still hasn't helped. I thought Takeshi would get angry, but he was just grinning as he watched Tsumugi start on her sandwich. Something was definitely not right here. I sucked in my breath and watched. Tsumugi bit into the sandwich. Munch. Chomp. Chew. Hmm?
引っかかった引っかかった。
Takeshi feels he succeeded in pulling the prank, even though he made it really obvious that it was a prank. I guess that we could say Tsumugi is dumb.
ものすげえ味だろそのサンド。
It's like, get your brain out of high school. Not middle school, this is a high school thing for me. Anyway, it got quite a flavor, huh, that sandwich? Takeshi laughed so hard he cried.
なんせマスタードにタバスコに七味に胡椒にセージにナツメグにシナモンにミントにカレー粉を混ぜ合わせ。
It's packed with mustard, Tabasco, pepper, sage, nutmeg, cinnamon, mint, and a dose of curry powder. Well, that's not that bad. Unless there's a real whole lot of nutmeg in it. Then that would cross up. That would be something trippy.
それからさらにマヨネーズにケチャップに砂糖に塩に醤油にとんかつソースにビネガーにバニラエッセンスに。
For good measure, I added a dose of mayonnaise, ketchup, salt, sugar, soy sauce, vanilla, vinegar, and vanilla.
あとなんだったっけ、忘れた。
Also, I forgot. Well, what if it tastes really good?
とにかく俺が見つけたありとあらゆる調味料とスパイス計34種をミックスした特製ソースで味付けしてあるんだからな。
Anyway, I threw in every ingredient and spice that I could find. It's my secret 34 ingredient sauce. Just like all of these. Everything's a 17, everything's a 34, just all over, just everything.
ちょっとそれはいくらなんでもひどすぎるでしょ。
Hey, that's just too cruel.
そうだよ。
Yeah. That's going too far, Takeshi.
うっさい。食い物の恨みはマリアナ海溝よりも深いのだ。
Shut up, I'm the cook here.
小町さん、すぐに吐き出してください。
Tsumugi, I highly recommend inducing vomit immediately. None of that is toxic.
今すぐお水を。いえ、まずはお薬を。
Get water quickly. No, we'll need medicine first. And again, unless there's like an awful lot of nutmeg.
大丈夫だって。ちょっと腹壊すだけで死ぬわけじゃねえよ。
She'll be fine. She'll get the runs, but she won't die. Oh, well. That's not something you should do to a girl. I want to grab Takeshi with my left hand.
待って。平気だから。
Wait, I'm fine. Tsumugi mumbled, just stopping us.
おっ、なんちゅうタフさだ。
Oh, well, aren't you tough?
全然平気。
I'm perfectly fine.
とか言いつつも本当は死ぬほどまずいんだべ。いいんだぞ、正直に言っても。
But it still tastes terrible, right? Tell the truth. No, it turns out that he just accidentally invented Big Mac sauce.
本当に平気よ。だって
I'm totally fine.
ピザの味するだけだから。
It tastes kind of like pizza.
今なんておっしゃいました？何の味と？
Did you say, what's it taste
ピ
like?
ザ。
Pizza.
本当に
Are you serious? Tsumugi nodded. It's like, well, would you tear off a piece for me and can I prove this?
ちょっとそれ貸せ！なわけねえだろ！
Let me see that. That can't be. Takeshi went to grab the sandwich, but Tsumugi was too quick for him. Not only that, Takeshi caught his foot and fell to the floor. In that instant, Tsumugi polished off the sandwich.
ごちそうさま。
Thanks for the sandwich.
確かにスペシャルタツタだったわね。
You made it specially for me, right? So the event ended with Tsumugi turning the tables on Takeshi. Unless that was planned out. It's like, yeah, I know this is going to be gross, but I know because he's pulling a prank, but I'll act like it's good and eat it anyway. I ended up cleaning the area up afterward. I separated the cans and sandwich wrappers and put them in garbage bags. You and Sarah helped. Takeshi said he was going to start getting ready for lunch and headed to the kiosk. Sora said that she had to do some maintenance and left for the control room. Tsumugi disappeared to somewhere unknown. But something happened when I was picking up garbage. Hello there. Oh, Coco's here again. Huh?
どうかしたの？
What's the matter? Nothing. Did somebody just call out?
はい？
What?
誰も呼んでないよ。
Nobody said anything. Really? Must be my imagination.
とかなんとか言っちゃって、本当はサボりたいだけなんでしょう。
I bet you're just trying to find a way to get out of helping. I'm not. It's not that at all.
また例の幻聴？
You're hearing your mystery voices again? Well,
願いだからしっかりしてよね。
Please don't do that again. Get a hold of yourself already.
疲れてるのはわかるんだけどさ。
I know you're tired, but... We started picking up garbage again. We finally finished with the trash, folded the blanket, and we're done cleaning up.
さて、あとは軽く掃き掃除しておこうか。
Now we'll just sweep the area, because make work is good apparently.
マヨ、お願いがあるんだけど、ほうきとちりとり持ってきてくれる？売店のとこにあるはずだから。
Ma'am, can you do me a favor and get a broom and dustpan? I think they are at the kiosk.
ラジャーでござる。
Roger that. Sarah set out for the kiosk. I was just thinking, this must be a nightmare for the people that clean this place.
人にやらせたら大変だろうね。
It would be if people had to do it.
でも、普段はレミが制御する清掃ロボが全自動で館内を掃除してたから。
But LeMay usually uses a cleaning robot that automatically cleans the whole complex. Wow.
まあ、この事故のおかげで、そのロボットも今頃は海水の中で錆び鉄になってるでしょうけど。
Well, what with the accident and all, I imagine the robot is a rusted pile of junk metal at the bottom of the ocean about now. I'll bet.
しゃ、よいしょ。
Heave ho, heave ho. What? I was hearing voices again.
考えてみれば、もうこのレミューそのものが巨大なスクラップみたいなもんよね。
Thinking about it, I guess that Lemu is just one massive pile of scrap metal.
この後ここをどう始末するのやら。
I suppose it's just of matter of time. Oh, it's just of matter of how it's destroyed.
って何？どうしたの？
What's the matter?
もしかしてまた？
You're not again.
もう君はいいから、救護室にでも行って寝てなさい。
Oh, all right, you've done enough. Just go to the infirmary or somewhere and rest.
こりゃ重症だわ。
You've got a serious condition or something. I was sure I'd heard something. This time, I was sure it wasn't my imagination.
掘ってるの。
I'm carving.
刻んでるの。
Can't you see? I'm carving. See, I really can hear
こ
something.
の石像に傷を刻み込んでるの。
I'm etching some marks into the stone. Stone statue. I looked around. The 4 stone statues at the edge of the open area. And there, atop the pedestal of a stone statue, was a girl. She was standing there next to the figure as if clinging to the statue. Oh, it's that girl. It was the girl that I had seen and who had then vanished on the first. Look, you, right there. Huh? Look, over on that statue.
石像がどうかしたの？
What about the statue? Look, that stone statue. There's a girl there, see?
誰もいないよ。
Huh? I don't see anybody. Not there, over there. Oh, forget it. I'll go call to her.
少年！
Kid? I sprinted toward the stone statue. What could the girl be doing up there?
それは
Well, it's because
寂しかったから。
I was feeling lonesome. Lonesome?
それに、あのね、
Anyway, I was
悔しいの。
feeling sad. Sad? What is she talking about?
よーし、次は、
And next? Uh-oh. Just then, the girl lost her balance, falling from her awkward place on the pedestal. Look out! I ran towards her. The water caught on my feet and sprayed everywhere as I ran all out to where she was. Will I make it? I closed my eyes, mustered all my power, and sprinted. I threw out my free left hand to where the girl would be falling to catch her. I didn't feel anything. I thought maybe I hadn't reached her in time. Scared, I opened my eyes. What? There was no one in my arms, or even around me. Only the water sloshing about gently around me.
ちょっと大丈夫？かなり派手に転んだみたいだけど。
Hey, are you alright? It looks like you took a pretty nasty spill. I looked above me. Of course, there was no one on the pedestal supporting the statue. Without saying anything, I got up and went behind the statue. There were scratches in the statue. They were deep notches that looked like they had been carved there by something hard and sharp. They were the shape of people. Really simple looking, like stick people. At the end of each stick was a little round face. There were 6 in all. Looking closer, I saw that next to the people figures were 2 carvings of animals that I'd never seen. I looked up at the statue. The statue was pointing diagonal and up towards the east.
あれ？何やってるんですか、2人とも。
Hey, what are you two doing?
それがね。
That's a good question. I ignored them and gently touched the carvings on the statue. Without thinking, I blurted out, "Watch your step, okay?" Okay. That answer could have been my imagination that time. After that, I decided to go to the infirmary and sleep without telling anybody about the carvings on the statue. It wasn't that I was feeling ill. It was simply that I was not getting enough sleep. I wanted some quality rest. I slept so deeply that I couldn't even dream. When I awoke, it was already around evening. There was no memo by the bed. Well, that shot through that day. Okay. I was just too lazy to write something for this day, which is kind of okay because this has been dragging on long enough. We will be in the conference room until dinner. If you wake up by then, please come along. Oh, I thought this said there was no memo. No memo, okay. Sorry for making you hang out with me the last couple of days. Please make sure you get enough rest. You. Judging from the signature, it seemed that you had left it. I got out of bed, stretched, and left the room. I started walking in the direction opposite of the conference room. I decided to take a walk around the complex for fun. I got into EI. I thought that it might make for a good change of pace to walk around a floor I hadn't spent much time in. That was my thinking. I got off on the flooded 3rd floor. I wondered where I should go. I looked around thinking. This is confusing because I thought they were already on the 3rd floor. What? This localization mistakes. It was then that it happened. I saw the girl again. Kid, oh. I saw her small figure cutting across the corridor. I was sure of it. It was that girl. I chased after her. Her skirt shook back and forth as she walked further and further away. It was almost as if she were trying to get away from me. Hey, wait a minute. She might not have heard me, and she didn't show any sign of stopping. I wondered what it was all about. This girl that kept appearing out of nowhere and then disappearing. This girl that didn't register in the Ms. Bioscan. No, she had registered once. Life reading 7. But the more I thought about it, the stranger everything seemed. She only appeared in front of me, and we hardly communicated. Well, I couldn't worry about it. I knew it wouldn't help. It was something that I could only solve by asking her directly. She headed into the cosmic whale room. I followed in soon after her. The room was dimly lit. A massive whale floated like a majestic phantasm in the cosmic room. The girl was in the middle of the room. She was facing away from me, sitting and hugging her knees. I finally caught up. I approached her as I caught my breath. I heard singing. It sounded like phrases from a children's song.
中指背負いし月のせい
Sprite shouldering a longbow.
夢の中より待ち降りぬ
Inside a dream. I felt like I had heard the lyrics somewhere before. Somewhere, I was sure. But I don't recognize that as the haiku from used printout. Distant past. Wondered if it was my missing memory that was making me feel that way. Hey, you. Her shoulders jumped with a shock and she stopped singing. Slowly she turned back to look at me. It was the girl, after all. Why do you run away from me? Reminds me of Carousel by Hybrid Theory, which is what Linkin Park called themselves before they called themselves Linkin Park and made an album called Hybrid Theory. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It really did matter to me, but since I had finally been able to confront the girl, I felt a surge of relief. Well, why don't we go where everyone else is? I held out my hand as I said this. Finally, she stood up and spoke.
お兄ちゃん
Oni-chan. What? The girl just stared at my face. Let's go. So, this is who he was waiting for because he came to Lemu with his little sister. And he was waiting for his little sister to get there. Now, something to note is that she has a bell on her ribbon. I took her hand and tugged it as I began to walk. The inside of my mind was churning. It was because of what she had just said. Inside of me, it felt like another me was screaming. That was how I felt. I found another girl. I burst into the conference room as I shouted this. Of course, I was still leading the girl by the hand. Everyone turned to look at me at once, and she was gone.
え
Huh?
もう一人って
Another what?
誰のこと言ってんだ？
What are you talking about?
もしかしてその女の子のことですか
You talking about that girl? Yeah, I found her in the cosmic whale room and brought her here. What's the matter with everyone? Why aren't you surprised?
もうしばらく休んでいた方がいいんじゃない
Maybe you better rest for a while. What?
ねえねえ
Hey, hey! The girl was tugging at my sleeve. I turned to look at her. But the girl that I had brought back
いき
was...
なりこんなとこ連れてきてどうしたの
What are you doing dragging me here all of a sudden? That must have looked real silly. Sarah?
うん
I looked back at everyone. This isn't right, I swear I saw her. We were walking here hand in hand. It wasn't Sarah.
そうなんですか、松永さん。
Is that right, Sarah?
私は誰も見なかったよ。
Oh, I didn't see anybody else.
いきなり少年が私の手を掴んで。
The kid just suddenly grabbed my hand. What? Sarah, why are you lying?
はい？嘘ついてるのはそっちじゃん。何言っちゃってるわけ？
Huh? What are you talking about? You're the one that's lying. What? The girl was in the whale room. She was sitting down, hugging her knees. She was singing some kind of phrases of a kid's song.
だから、それは私です。
I'm telling you that was me. Is she a shapeshifter now? Sarah was red-faced and shouting.
そんな恥ずかしいこと、ここで暴露しなくてもいいでしょ？
You don't have to tell everybody about it. Jeez, what's with her? What's going on here? Oh my. Yeah, the Huna and the Mahiki. You groaned as she slapped my forehead with her hand.
少年、他のことは何も心配しなくていいから、もう少し休んできたら？
Kid, just forget about everything else and get some rest.
晩ご飯だったら、後で持ってってあげるから。
I'll bring you some dinner later.
本当に、どうしちゃったのかね、この子は。
What's going on with this guy? I thought about a lot of things as I plodded to the infirmary. Things leading to that point. Things to come. The odd things going on. Things I couldn't figure out. Things I needed to find out. Things I needed to decide. Everything I had been trying to avoid thinking about all rushed in my mind at once, making it a confused mess. I couldn't help thinking and worrying about things. About you. What if the man who had died 34 years before wasn't Yu's father? Then who was her real father? Was the woman that died 15 years before really Yu's mother? If not, then who was? About me. Why did I keep having premonitions of the future? What did it mean? Who was the girl? Why had I mistaken Sarah for her? Why had I even lost my memory in the first place? What had happened to me in my past? What did Samuki know about all of this? And why were we all trapped in the moon? Was it just an accident? Or something else? A few hours later, well, we're really skipping forward hard here, the installation started to flood again. The Rite stock from the partition to the cosmic whale had submerged. Casualties? None. So, the cosmic whale is indeed on Rite stock. But it's like, is the conference room on Vitae stock? I thought it was on Rite stock. Flooding to the other rooms? None. Chances of damage spreading? None. Sora's voice conveyed the situation over the intercom in a matter-of-fact tone. The cosmic whale room. I had been there until just shortly before the flooding, but somehow it felt like some event that had taken place thousands of miles away. I covered my hand with the blanket, closed my eyes, and tried to sleep. I tried to search for the world I should be in, for the place I should return to, and for myself. The next thing I knew, I was standing there. Where is this? I don't know where this is. This is a brand new background. The corridor I was in wasn't very popular. It was completely silent. It was narrow, dark, cold. Where is this? Is this behind the Himmel door? I wondered if I really was in the Mu. Nothing looked familiar. It was like an unknown world. I just stood there in the middle of the foreign corridor. Wait. I knew that space. For some reason it seemed familiar to me. Like an image that appears and hides in the midst, not quite visible. Or like the moon peeking in between gaps in the thick night fog. It was a corridor that stretched on straight forward. It seemed to go on forever in both directions. I started walking without really thinking about it. I've been here before. But when could that have been? It felt like something long ago, but at the same time felt like something recent. I couldn't remember when. I just kept walking to nowhere in particular. I have to go. But where was it that I felt I had to go? I didn't know why, but I felt that I had to go. That's why I'm walking. In a soundless world. This is how the game would start more than how the game would land, but whatever. A colorless world. A scentless world. A world that did not exist anymore. And then the scenery suddenly changed. So they were preserved in pods for 17 years. I found myself in a big room. It was big and white and quiet. It looked like a hospital. That is what I thought. In a corner of the room there were three capsule-like machines. As if they were calling out to me, I approached the capsules. Only 3, though. So Sarah, you, the kid, but then they also have Takeshi and Samuki. How do we deal with those? Someone was in the capsules. Someone was in there sleeping. I reached out my right hand towards the capsule, but that's the one with the cast on it. My hand made contact. At that instant, without a sound, the lights went off. Huh? Startled, I tried to jump backward, but my right hand was stuck to the capsule and I couldn't pull it back. I looked back at the capsule. From the point where my hand was touching the capsule's lid, a blackish sticky liquid began seeping out. No, it was more dark blue than black. The capsule continued to ooze blackish blue and deep blue. I didn't know and couldn't imagine what was going on. That's right, someone's inside. I have to open this and save them. But my body wouldn't move, it felt paralyzed. I stopped breathing and could only watch what was unfolding. Finally, that sticky blue liquid covered the entire capsule. But it didn't stop there, it kept going. To the floor, the walls, the ceiling, as if it would swallow the whole room. It was like a living animal with a will of its own, reproducing itself. The sticky blue liquid began to crawl up my body. Up my legs and my hands, inside my clothes and between my legs. I couldn't shake it off or scream, I could only watch. After covering my body, it forced open my mouth and started into my body. It invaded me through my ears, nose, and the pores of my skin. I guess this is kind of symbolic of drowning. In my body, the blue traveled around, reaching my brain, my lungs, and my heart. Also, the virus called Deep Blue. So, it's kind of like drowning, it's kind of like Deep Blue. It began eating away at my brain, my organs, and blood vessels. The blue liquid sucked my blood and started changing its color to black. It was changing into something that wasn't me. I was... Assaulted by boundless fear and horrible despair, I howled a soundless scream. My eyes snapped open. The next thing I knew, I was on a bed. It smelled of disinfectant. I wondered where I was. I was drenched in sweat. My heart was pounding. I had a dull headache. I lifted up my torso and glanced around me. The room was dim, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was scenery that I knew. Oh yeah, I'm back in the infirmary. I finally realized that I had just been having a dream. I got my breath back and thought back to the dream. Oh, let's see. What had seemed so vivid only moments ago seemed to vanish from my mind like clouds covering the night sky. All that was left was an unknown fear, a slight headache, and a fragment of a dream. I gave up and looked around me. The area was enveloped in a faint darkness. It wasn't a blackout. The lights had been dimmed to make it easier to sleep. The proof seemed to be the sleeping breathing that I could hear coming from the bed next to me. I thought it might be Sarah. Now wide awake, I got out of bed. I suddenly noticed something. There was someone laying face down next to my bed asleep. I squinted to see who it might be. It was you. I thought that she was going to be sore for sure after sleeping in that position. To at least keep her from catching a cold, I went to cover her with a blanket. Just then,
あれ少年おはよ
oh kid, good morning. Oh, did I wake you up?
う寝るつもりなかったんだけどついうとうとしちゃったみたい
No, I didn't mean to go to sleep. I guess I dozed off.
ちょっと
All right then. You shouted as she stood up.
具合の方は
So, how are you feeling? I feel perfectly fine, to quote Tsumugi.
そんなわけないでしょ頻繁に幻聴聞いたり幻覚見たり絶対に精神が参ってる証拠だよ
How could you be? You've been hearing things, seeing things, and that's proof that your nerves are shot.
このところ毎晩私に付き合わせてるからねこれでも責任感じてるんだぞ
I've been looking out for you every night, so I feel kind of responsible. It's not your fault.
だとしたらちょっとは気が楽になるんだけどね
Well, that makes me feel a little better. Saying that, you shrugged her shoulders. I'm done with the bed, so you can sleep here, you.
君は
What about you? I slept enough this afternoon. I'm not tired.
ふーんそう
I see. You thought for a minute.
だったら今夜も付き合わない
In that case, will you hang out with me tonight? Sure. So we decided to hang out again that night in what seemed to be becoming a nightly ritual. The Lemurian ruins. We climbed on top of the roof of one of the buildings and gazed out over the scenery. I actually didn't know why we had decided to climb up on that particular night. But if I were to take a stab at the reason, it's probably because Lemuria was so beautiful then. For a while, the two of us were silent, just enjoying the view. Finally, I started the conversation. Let's get to the bottom of things.
決着って
To the bottom of what? The ocean. Let us die. Let's get to the truth about your past. About your father and mother. That and the truth about my past. About my lost memories and my ability to see the future. That and one more thing, the truth about all our pasts. And why this accident happened. Why were we the only ones trapped here? Why couldn't we get out? I'm tired of dwelling on this. I mean it, let's really figure things out tonight.
あのさ少年
Kid? You stared into the distance.
悪いんだけどそういった話は今日はやめよう
I'm sorry, but could we just forget about that today? Oh, why?
なんだか疲れちゃった
I just feel so tired.
だから今日はそういうつもりでここへ誘ったんじゃないの
That wasn't the reason that I invited you here today. I wondered why we had come here.
どうして人は過去にこだわったりするんだろう
Why do you get so caught up in knowing about the past of people?
過ぎてしまったことなんて取り返すことはできないのに
You can never take back what's happened in the past.
私たちはただ 目の前を通り過ぎていく瞬間瞬間の中でしか生きることはできない。
All we can do is live in the moment with what is happening to us right this instant.
過去にも未来にも飛んでいくことはできない。
We can't hop back and forth to the past or the future.
未来は確かにやってくる。
The future will come.
けれどその瞬間が訪れるまで未来はただの暗闇。
But until that moment comes, the future is just like the dark.
何も見えない。
You can't see anything.
1分後何が起こるのかさえわからない。
You never know what might happen a minute from now.
未来が怖くてだから人は振り返る。
The future is scary, so that's why people look to the past.
振り返って過去を見るとそこには光が照らされている。
If you look back, everything is clearly illuminated.
でもね、
But
過去だって同じこと。
the past is really the same.
遠のけば遠のくほど闇の中に紛れて見えなくなってしまう。
The further that you get away from the present, the darker it is and the less you can see. To me, I'd seemed to lose your memory, like I had, made everything pitch black. No, rather things become nothing.
私たちが知ることのできる領域なんてほんの些細なものなのよ。
The only sphere that we can truly know is really tiny.
特に時の流れに対しては盲目に等しい。
Especially when it comes to time, we are essentially blind.
だから私は
That's why I
今この瞬間だけを大切にしようと思う。
just want to value this moment.
過去や未来のことなんてもうどうでもよくなっちゃったんだ。
The past and the future, I don't care about them anymore. I was left speechless. There was nothing I could be expected to say, because she was no longer focused on reflecting on her past. She was different from me. I alone was intent on knowing everything. I believed that I had to know it, or else. I mean, I'm playing this mystery visual novel video game. I do want to know everything. That is my goal. And it will continue to be my goal, despite your themes and stuff. But you wasn't like that. The dragon had left the damsel free. There was no longer a need to get to vanquish it. I didn't know how much time had passed. There, nothing for us to do, so we just gave ourselves to the slowly passing time. Even though there was no meaning in it. I didn't feel that there was any reason for being there. I've had enough of this. I stood up quickly. So, should we get some sleep? Huh? What? What's wrong?
もうちょっと
I want...
もうちょっとだけ一緒にいたいかも。
I want to spend just a little more time with you. After all, we're gonna die in a couple days. Huh? But there's nothing for us to do, is there? That was what I was about to say, but you said...
君と一緒にいるとなんだか落ち着くの。だか
There
ら
is something about being with you that relaxes me. I sat down again where I was. I figured that even if it was nothing to me, it might mean something to her.
ねえ、私が今何考えてるかわかる？
Hey, do you know what I'm thinking right now? I shook my head.
当ててみて。
Yes. How am I supposed to know?
タイムスリップしたんでしょ？
You traveled through time, right?
同じ出来事を経験したことがあるんでしょ？
You experienced all this before, right?
だったらこれから私が何をするのか知ってるはずじゃない。
In that case, you should know what I'm about to do. Well, I'll try to use some Ever17 to guess the right answer if they give me a choice, but they may not give me a choice because this game might not... Uchikoshi might not have thought of that. You don't believe in time travel, right?
それとこれとは話が別。
That's not what I'm saying.
当ててみて。
So guess. You repeated herself. What? You're going to do?
多分。
Yeah, probably. What you're going to do.
だから当ててみてって言ってるでしょ。
I keep telling you to guess, right?
わからないの？
You don't know? I don't know.
そういう時はどうすればいいんだっけ？
What is it you're supposed to do at times like this? What?
もう一つの目を使うのよ。
Use your other eye. My other eye. The third eye?
そう。
Yep.
第三の目が開眼すると真の知恵が湧き、万物を見通すことができる。
When the third eye opens, true wisdom is apparent and all becomes visible. But how?
教えてほしい？
You want me to teach you? Yeah. Just to be clear, like what I'm thinking here is that she's going to spontaneously try to kiss him. Or is I guess, okay. It wouldn't be spontaneous if they had this much lead up. Misuse of words there. If I could harness that power, then my past memory.
まず一つ目の目はどこにあるのか知ってる？
First, do you know where the first eye is? I cocked my head thinking.
ここよ。
It's here. As she spoke, Yu's index finger approached my right eye. I closed it. The tip of Yu's finger touched my eyelid.
じゃあ二つ目の目は
And the second eye?
ここ。
Right here? Without giving me a second to think, you did the same thing to my left eye.
最後に
And the third eye?
それは
That's right here. I felt something soft touch my lips. Startled, I opened my eyes. My mind went completely blank. I couldn't think of anything. The third eye is your mouth. Had I found true wisdom? Had all things become visible to me? It was a lie. I felt more and more confused. The scene in front of me, the soft touch of skin, and the sweet smell that made my brain numb. It was all I could do to absorb these. That so-called third eye gave only the truth, warmth, confusion, and affection then. That night passed as I etched pure, slow, and new memories into my mind. Day 6. The next morning, after breakfast, we had all gathered in the conference room. More accurately, we gathered because Sora had called us together. Tsumugi also made a rare appearance.
皆さんにお集まりいただいたのは他でもありません。
There is an important reason why I've called you all. Wow, I can't read. There's an important reason why I've called all of you here.
一刻も早くお知らせしなければならないことがあったのです。
There is something that I wanted to inform you about as soon as possible.
辛いでしょうが、現在の状況を正しく把握する必要があります。
I know it is difficult, but it is important that it's important for you to accurately realize the full gravity of the situation.
取り乱さず、落ち着いて、心して聞いてください。
Please don't panic. Settle down and listen carefully. Sora paused for a second. Sora looked at all 5 of us in turn. You, Tsumugi, Sara, Takeshi, and then me, before continuing. The conference room was silent, but I could hear the sound of water faintly from somewhere. Was it water lapping in the corridors? Moments later, I couldn't hear it anymore. and if Sora was waiting for this cue, she slowly opened her mouth.
元凶は芳しくありません。
Situation is not good. Sora extended her hand, and a holographic window appeared in the space in front of us. I felt like I had seen her do that for a while.
今のところ新たな浸水の兆候がはっきり現れている箇所はありません。
Currently, there are no areas that show signs of new flooding.
昨夜のドリッドシュトックのコスミッシャーバル浸水以来際立った被害は出ていませんが、
Since the flooding of the Cosmic Whale area in Stock last night, there have been no further reports of significant damage.
その浸水によってレミューを支える支柱への負担は増大しました。
The burden being placed on the moon's support columns has increased due to the flooding.
フロア間の歪みは大きくなりつつあります。
The structural distortion between the floors is increasing.
このままいくとレミューはやがて平行バランスを崩し大きく傾くことになるでしょう。
I mean, this makes sense because the ones that aren't flooded are going to have some buoyancy, where the ones that are flooded are going to be about the same mass density as the water. So it's going to want to try to kind of tilt, right? If this continues, the moon will eventually lose its equilibrium and tilt dramatically.
フロア区画の連結部への損傷が重なれば健在な区画にも各種パイプなどを通して水が侵入してくる可能性があります。
If the damage to the areas connecting the floors of different sectors increases, there is the possibility that pipe leaks could flood the dry sectors.
つまり油断のならない状況となっています。
In other words, we can't afford to be careless, things are critical.
以前お伝えしたと思いますが
I think that I told you this before.
レミューの完全悪化推定時刻は5月7日午前4時30分前後となっています。
Implosion of Lemieux is estimated to occur at 4:30 a.m. on May 7th, which is less than 24 hours away.
推定誤差はプラスマイナス12時間程度です。
This calculation has a margin of error of plus or minus 12 hours.
この推定数値には今のところ大きな変更はかかっていません。
There has been no significant change in this prediction.
核兵器強度は一部においてすでに限界を超えつつあるのです。
In one area, the strength limits of the partitions have already been exceeded.
崩壊は段階的に少しずつしかし確実に起こります。
Destruction of Lemieux will be gradual, but inevitably and occur steadily.
それはもう時間の問題です。
It is only a matter of time. Sora told all of us this with a calm look on her face. We all swallowed and held our breaths as we listened. We knew we were reaching our time limit. We had no choice but to accept that reality. There was no avoiding the situation.
現在発電施設は順調に稼働しています。
Presently, the generator facilities are functioning normally.
ですが万が一発電機が停止してしまった場合は非常電源蓄電池を使用します。
However, if by chance there is a blackout, we will switch to the emergency power source battery.
通常は非常灯の点灯とシステムの保持に使われている程度のものですが2時間くらいは持つものと思います。
This is generally meant for supporting the emergency lighting and maintenance of Lemieux's system. It should last for about 2 hours. Sora's matter-of-fact way of speaking only raised the tension in our minds. For Takeshi and Sara and Tsumugi, and for you. I could not get the image of you burned into my brain the night before out of my mind. I still felt as if our lips were touching. From the morning, you and I had avoided one another's eyes. I wasn't sure if we had even exchanged words. You looked straight ahead. I was more conscious of you than of anything else. I didn't know how I should act around her from then on. But I had other things to worry about. I listened to the conversation.
旧来の通信回路については依然普通。
The normal communication channels are still not functioning.
脱出方法も見つかっていません。
Neither have I found an escape route.
ですが
However,
館内レミシステムは全力を挙げて皆さんの生命維持を最優先事項としそのための環境保全に努めます。
made protecting you my top priority, and the MIA is devoting all of its resources to that objective.
また 艦外で操作可能なセンサー、ライト、マニピュレーターなどを総動員し、
I am also using all sensors, lights, manipulators, and means at my disposal outside of the complex.
それらを使っての光波、電波、音波による通信の送受信の可能性を改めて検証中です。
And I am still investigating whether there are any means of communicating with the outside using light, radio, or sound. Sora nodded her head, straightened her back, and surveyed the room. We were all silent. There was a look of determination in her eyes.
言わせてもらいますと、
Let me say one thing more.
これは意地です。私、茜ヶ崎空の意地。
That as long as I, Sora Akanegasaki, exist. They gave her a last name.
できることはわずかですが、皆さんがここにいられる限り、
It's limited as long as you are here.
皆さんがここから無事脱出するためのあらゆる手段、方法を私は考え、試したいと思っています。
I will do my utmost to find a way for you to escape to safety.
あとしばらくの間、よろしくお付き合いのほどお願いいたします。
We do not have much longer together, but I, Sora Akanegasaki, am at your service. She concluded with a serious nod. We all nodded.
助けは必ず来ます。信じて待ちましょう。
Wait and believe that help is on its way. Sora's serious expression gave way to a smile.
皆さんが無事救出されることをお祈りします。
Let's pray for a safe rescue. The gloomy atmosphere that had been hanging over the gathering lightened, and everyone started thinking about how they should spend their time. Sora smiled and instilled everyone with courage. I am grateful for that piece of code in Sora's AI program, the function that allowed her to be calm in times of trouble.
それでは、一旦は解散としましょう。
Let's end this meeting.
何か事実がつかめるまで、各自自由に行動してください。
Until there is new information available, please do as you will.
ただし、何かを発見した場合は、即座にレミを通じて私に知らせるということで。
However, if you do discover anything, please inform me immediately via Leme.
空、ちょっといい？
Excuse me, Sora.
あ、はい。小町さん、何でしょうか？
Yes, Samugi. Samugi suddenly stood in front of Sora. Her smile seemed just a little forced.
話があるの。二人で話したいんだけど。
There's something I want to talk with you about. Alone.
二人きりでですか？
Private?
ええ、お願い。
Yes, please.
実は脱出について、あなたに一つ提案があるのよ。
Actually, I have a proposal, an idea of how to escape from here.
本当ですか？何かいい方法が？
Yes, really, have you come up with a good method?
そうよ。あなたも知らない。私だけが知っている方法。
Yeah, one that you don't know, only I know about it.
聞いたところによれば、あなた、自立行動のプライオリティを入れ替えてもらったそうね。さらに。
Heard from Sara that your operating priorities have been changed.
レミにライプリヒに対する守秘義務意識は以前ほど強固なものではない。
That you are not as stubborn about protecting Leiblich as before.
はい。それが何か？
Yes, and what about it?
今のあなたなら私に協力できるかもしれない。
Maybe you can work with me now.
おい、ちょっと待てよ、つぐみ。空も。
Oh, hey, Samugi, hold on. Sora is...
あなたは黙ってて。
Be quiet. Samugi held up her hand as if silencing Takeshi.
私は空と二人だけで話したいの。
I want to talk with Sora alone.
構わないでしょ？
Surely you don't mind.
はい。わかりました。では、中央制御室で。
Of course, then we will speak in the central control room.
そうね。行きましょうか。
Let's go then. Serious looks on their faces, the two of them headed out of the room.
おい、待てよ、二人とも。勝手なことすんな。
Hey, Wait, you two, what about
そん
us?
な大事な話ならむしろここで。
It's important that we should talk about it here. Tsumugi glared back at Takeshi. Her eyes were like ice.
黙っててって言ったでしょ。
I told you to be quiet. She turned her back on Takeshi again, and the two of them left the conference room. The room suddenly fell silent.
なんだよ。
Jeez,
なんだってんだよ。
what's that all about? Those of us left stared at the hologram in the conference room and settled down to plotting a strategy to save ourselves. The four of us, you, Sara, Takeshi, and I, gathered around the table. We reviewed the facts as we knew them. There were two ways to get to the surface from Lemur. Use the elevator to the central area, climb one of the complex's 12 sets of emergency stairs. The central area floor was completely flooded. Even if we could get to the elevator, we couldn't be certain that it would move. We didn't know the cause of that either. The emergency stairs were also filled with water from the second floor, so they were impassable. Right now, there was only one method that could be used to remove the flood water. That was to use the high-pressure fan to pump the complex full of high-pressure gases and purge it of seawater. But at that moment, we weren't able to operate the fan from inside Lemur. And like the elevators, we still had no idea why. As if we couldn't start it from the inside, then it could be started from the outside. But all communication channels to the outside had been cut off. And swimming our way to freedom was out of the question. The water pressure and other problems made that suicidal. And if we couldn't find a way out on our own, then we'd have to rely on rescue efforts from outside. It's kind of like we had this sudden thought about all the communication channels are gone, right? It's like the world outside has got to be completely changed from how they expect it to be. But what was could be just the far future, where there's no receivers on the other end. But we couldn't find a way out of our own, and we'd have to rely on rescue efforts from outside. But that was something we couldn't depend upon. We hadn't been able to communicate with the outside for the 5 days since we've been trapped, and there are no signs help was coming. So we knew that we had to exclude a miracle rescue from our options. No, from the beginning. We had reconciled ourselves with the facts of our situation long before. We figured that since there had been no contact or rescue, not even the slightest sign, that maybe there was a reason that people couldn't get near Lemur. Or maybe someone had intentionally sealed us in. So we came up with 3 steps we should focus on. Restoring communications with the outside, but this was only relevant if the people on the outside were willing to cooperate. Find another way to drain the water from the complex other than the high-pressure fan, but water flows downhill, so you can't. But according to Sora, there was no other way to do this. Find an escape route other than the elevator or emergency stairs, like maybe a submarine. Wow, it came up. But according to Sora's information, there was no longer any left at Lemur. She had said that they all had been used during the evacuation on May 1st. Final conclusion. Current prognosis of escape. Hopeless. But there was one thing. That submarine. That yellow submarine. Tsumugi had said that there was an escape method that only she knew about. But if it did in fact exist, and it has to do with not protecting Lieblich, and there was a way that all 6 of us could escape, then that would be our only hope. Because I presume Tsumugi knows what's going on, like the whole thing, the whole scheme, the whole human experiment. That somehow translates to right with an exclamation point.
結局のところ、俺たちには打つ手なしってことか。
There's really nothing we can do.
つぐみと空の報告を待つしかないね。
We'll just have to wait for a report from Tsumugi and Sora.
にしても、つぐみのやつ遅えな。
Yeah, but Tsumugi hasn't even come back yet.
うん。いくらなんでも遅すぎるよね。
She is taking She is kind of taking a long time.
何かあったんでしょうかね。
Maybe there's a reason.
うーん
Maybe. Or that somehow translates to maybe. Hey, should I go see how things are going?
えーっと
Huh?
そうだな。よろしく頼む。
Yeah, you go do that.
一人で大丈夫？
You're okay alone? Yeah, fine. I'll just go take a peek. With that, I left the conference room. I headed down the corridor to the control room. With the situation the way it was, no matter how much we worried about it, we weren't going to find a solution. That was clear. So we would have to take control of the situation. How could we do that? We couldn't just rely on thinking, we needed to act. The key to the first step down that path was in the hands of Tsumugi and Sora. That was what I believed. I arrived in front of the control room. I pushed the intercom buzzer, but there was no answer. My only choice was to open the door. When I did, I heard Tsumugi shouting.
何べんも同じことを言わせないで。
Don't make me keep repeating the same thing. Tsumugi and Sora were in the middle of an argument so intense that it seemed they might start going at it hand to hand. But that's not really an option because you just punch right through Sora. Neither one would give an inch, they just stared at one another. It looked as though they had been fighting for several minutes. The room was filled with tension. The two glared at me for only an instant before launching back into their argument.
ですから先ほどから申し上げている通り、そのような場所など存在しないのです。
So, conveniently, you get to listen to all of it. Because I guess the player character has to get in the situation somehow. Like I've been telling you, that place just does not exist.
ねえ、ソラ、お願いだから、これ以上私を怒らせないで。
Sora, please don't make me angrier.
他の連中は騙せても、私に嘘は通じないの。
You might be able to trick the others, but lies won't work on me.
嘘ではありません。
It's not a lie.
まだ言う気？
You still sticking to that line? It was a bad scene. Something about the whole thing screamed danger. It wouldn't do to let the two go at it like that. I retraced my steps, hurrying to the conference room. I've got trouble. Without waiting for the door to completely open, I bounded into the room.
お、早かったな。
That was quick.
ってただごとじゃないみたいだな。
Sounds like something big is going down.
大変ってどういうこと？
Trouble? What kind of trouble? Come on, we've got to go and stop it. I told him this as I struggled to get my breath back.
止める？おい、ちゃんと説明してくれ。
Stop what? Hey, explain what's going on.
何があったの？
What happened? Central control room. Sora and Tsumugi, I found them fighting. I just couldn't watch, so I...
まずいね。こんな時に。
This is bad news at a time like this? No, not really. I mean, she's a robot, so, I mean...
行こう。止めようよ。
Let's go. We've got to stop them. Act like there's some big consequences with fighting with arguing with the computer. But, like, there isn't. Like, the computer's not going to get hurt unless Tsumugi kicks the physical computer or something.
ああ、早いとこ行くぞ。
Yeah, we'd better hurry. We burst into the room. The room was full of sharp words and barbed looks. The atmosphere was tense. It left a bad taste in my mouth. Nothing had changed at all. It might be safer to say that things had gotten
ドリ
worse.
ットシュトックの下にフロアはありません。降りることはできないんです。
There aren't any floors underneath Drite stock. We can't go down any further.
嘘。
Liar.
あなたは嘘をついている。
You're lying.
私には分かっている。うん。私は知っているの。
I know. Oh, how I know.
レミューにはさらに下の階があるって。
Know that there's another floor under Lemu. Well, there is some areas under, like some areas down at the bottom, where the vents are depicted in the opening cutscene, but they didn't really look like floors. The thing is, I've been confused by the floors like the entire time because I thought that the conference room and control room were on Dritte stock, just because that's how it showed. That's how the map was presented. But like a lot of things seem to show that they're actually on Zweite stock. Yes, it's confusing. But apparently there's a 4. I forgot what the ordinal number for 4 is in German.
レミュートは別の施設。それがこの真下にあるの。ずーっと下の方によ。
I know about the other facilities under here, way under Lemu.
ね。そうでしょ。
I'm right, aren't I?
その問いには、こうお答えするしかありません。
There's only one answer to your question.
そんな施設など存在しませんと。
No such facilities exist.
そんなはずはないでしょ。
There has to be.
じゃあ、あの部屋は何？
Then what about that room?
あのヒンメルは一体何なのよ。
What is that Himmel about? Himmel? I thought that I had heard, no, I had seen it before. The name of a room. Where have I seen it? In your dream. But my memory was vague and I couldn't connect it with any information in my brain.
いい？あなたは知らないだろうけど、あの扉は今日。
Listen, you don't know about it, but today the door is...
おいつぐみ
Hey, Tsurugi. Suddenly Takeshi got between
つ
them.
ぐみその話俺にも聞かせてもらおうか
Tsurugi, why don't you tell me about that?
ここまで聞いちまったんだもう隠し事も何もないだろ
If we've all heard this much, you can't have anything more to hide, right? Takeshi stared intently at Tsurugi. Humph. Takeshi turned back to us.
なあ悪いんだけど
Hey, if you don't
こ
mind,
こは俺に任せてくれないか
I'll take care of this. Huh?
何それ？
What?
私たちは出て行けってこと？
Are you telling us to leave?
ああ大人数であれこれ言い合っても収拾がつかなくなるだけだろ
Yeah, with this many people arguing, nothing will get settled.
だからここは俺と空とつぐみに任せてくれ
So just leave this to me, Sora, and Tsurugi.
しばらく3人だけにしてくれ
Leave us alone for a bit. Alright, let's leave this to Takeshi.
少年？
You have to play the other route for that, apparently. Kid?
なんでそんな重要な話し合いで私たちだけがのけ者にならなきゃいけないわけ？
Why should the three of us be excluded from such an important discussion? 'Cause plot. I trust Takeshi. And Takeshi has trust in us. It's game structure. Takeshi has his own take on things. And I think we should go with what he thinks.
サンキュー少年すまんな
Thanks, kid.
しょうがないな。じゃあ、倉成、あんたに任せるからね。
Oh, whatever, fine. Takeshi, we'll leave it up to you, okay?
ああわかった
Alright, I got it. Something I just kind of noticed. When you and Sarah are both on the screen at the same time, isn't Sarah always on the left and you always on the right to the viewer? And that seems because all you sprites look to the left and all Sarah's sprites look to the right. We left the three of them in the control room. After that, we decided to take some action of our own. We estimated time until Lemu's implosion was steadily approaching. We decided to run a visual check on the complex to see how everything was. Of course, Lemme had already checked everything, so it was a meaningless action. But we felt that we had to do something. I took the corridor near the whale room, rather near what used to be the whale room. The cosmic whale room was already filled with water. I wondered what the girl I had seen around here was. Where had she gone? Who was the girl singing that lonely children's song? Well, Sarah claims that she was doing it. Was she a ghost or something else? just as I was thinking that, suddenly I was hit with a bout of dizziness. My vision contorted and I couldn't stand. I leaned against the wall and slowly crouched on the floor. I was unable to focus my mind. I felt cold. My joints were throbbing. Ow! My stomach felt like it was contracting in on itself. I couldn't stand it and sprinted into the bathroom. I threw up everything in my stomach. Oh, so there is a bathroom. It was a stew of half-digested chunks of chicken sandwich. I looked at it indifferently and put my hand on my forehead. I wasn't feverish. Well, you can't really tell if you put your own hand on your own forehead. But I felt terrible. I took the EI elevator up to the second floor. I headed towards the infirmary, intending to get some medicine. Along the way, I saw Takeshi. Takeshi was leaning against the wall, muttering. He was probably just talking to himself, but I heard what he was saying.
たく、何にも起きねえじゃねえか。手任せ言いやがって、あの女。
Nothing happening, that lying woman.
もう時間がねえってのによ。
We don't have time for this. Lying woman? He seemed to be in a bad mood. Hey there, Takeshi.
あ？おう、少年か。なんじゃい。
Oh, hey kid, what's up? How was the talk with Tsurugi and Sora?
ああ、あれな。
Oh, that.
ダメダメ。全然話になんね
It was no good, nothing there. What do you
え。
mean?
つぐみの勘違いだったんだよ。単なるあいつの思い込みだったんだ。
Tsurugi's got it all wrong. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So the escape route.
ああ、もちろん白紙に戻ったってわけだ。
Now we're back to square one. Oh, I see. I had held out hope that he could pull us through. It was a bitter disappointment.
おっと、そうだ。こうしてらんねえよ。
That's right, I can't be standing around.
俺、もう行くわ。今、忙しいんだよ。
I gotta run, I've got things to do.
じゃあな。
Later. Looking stiff, Takeshi headed off. I was left alone. Sara and Sora were in the infirmary. It seemed the two of them were having a complicated discussion.
じゃあここのネットワークを通じてライプリヒ本社のデータベースにも侵入できるんだね。
So you can get into the Liblet Company database through this network, right?
ええ、理論上は可能です。
Yeah, it is theoretically possible.
しかし本社のデータベースはこことは比較にならないぐらいプロテクトは強固です。
The database at headquarters has security that makes what we have here look simple in comparison.
並大抵のことでは侵入どころか逆ハックされてしまうことでしょう。
Not only is it hard to break into, it'll hack back at you.
それに現在外部との通信は普通状態ですし。
Besides, there are no open communication channels with the outside.
でもケーブルが断線してるわけじゃないんだよね。
It's not like the cable connecting us to the group is cut off, right?
はい。
Correct.
だったら受信はできなくても送信はできてるかもしれないわけだ。
So even if we can't receive communications, we might be able to send them.
その可能性はあります。
There's that possibility.
そっか。だとしたら。
In that case,
ってあれ少年いつの間に入ってきたの？
hey kid, when did you get here? I've been here for a bit.
あ、そうなの。全然気づかなかった。
Oh really? I didn't even notice. I have done this before often.
どうかなさったのですか？あまり顔色が優れないようですが。
Is something wrong? You don't look so well. Yeah, that escape route that Samugi was talking about. So she turned out to be wrong?
はい、どうやらそのようです。
Yes, it would appear so. I see.
そんなに落ち込まないでください。まだ望みを捨ててはいけません。
Please do not let it dampen your spirits. You can't give up hope.
朝に申し上げたように、私もレミも最後まで全力で皆さんのために尽くしますから。
Like I said this morning, Lemay and I are doing all we can to get you out of here. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
ところで少年は何の用でここに？
So what are you doing here, kid? Oh yeah, I came to get some medicine or some vitamin supplements.
あれ少年も具合悪いとか？
Huh, are you feeling bad too? Hi, you too, Sarah?
皆さん、かなりお疲れのようですね。無理もないことですけど。
Everyone seems fairly fatigued. Don't overdo it.
ナッケ先輩もさっき来たんだよ。
Q was just here as well.
やっぱストレスかな。それとも睡眠不足？食事は竜田サンドだけだし。
Guess it's stress or lack of sleep, maybe, and all we've been eating is chicken sandwiches.
ああ、やだやだ。どれも肌の大敵ね。
All of those things are bad for my skin. As she complained, Sarah took a bag filled with tablets from the medicine shelf.
はい、どうぞ。
Here you go. So I guess you took the same ones. I drank down the tablets that Sarah gave me. Where did you go?
更衣室。
To the changing room. Huh? Why? She's going to change?
うん、よくわかんないけどね。
Yeah, I don't know the details though. More sprites? At that point, Samugi came into the room. Both Sarah and Sora expressions tensed. You too, Samugi? It's like, et tu?
は？
It's weird, but every seems to be feeling ill today. So I thought that you might be feeling bad too.
私は違うわ。私はただ
Not me, I
様子を見に来ただけ。
came to check things out.
妙といえば、彼、頭おかしくなったんじゃないの？
Speaking of weird, I think that guy's lost his mind. That guy?
もしかしてたけしのこと？
You mean Takeshi? Samugi nodded.
かなり挙動不審だったわよ。
He's been acting pretty strange.
目を血走らせながら避難用通路に入っていったけど、
His eyes are all bloodshot, and he went into one of the emergency corridors.
なんだか鼻息も荒かったわね。
He was breathing funny and acting strange too. Oh, it's everyone's contracting deep blue. Huh? He seemed in a bad mood, but he was that out of it? Yep, here comes the deep blue.
元からそうだったけど、頭をやられちゃったのかもね。
He was kind of like that from the start, but I think maybe he's lost it.
鼻息が荒い？
What do you mean he was acting strange?
まさかとは思うけど。
I don't think it could be this, but
クラナルさんでしたら、ちょっと待ってくださいね。
let me see. Right now, Takeshi is,
今、ちょうど更衣室の上の通路に、
now he's just in the corridor above the changing room.
ねえ、ちょっと様子見に行った方がよくない？
Hey, maybe we should go take a look. Okay, yeah, they're intentionally trying to make you think of peeping toms, and I did, so you got me. But that's obviously not what's going on. I think you're right. Sarah and I hurried out of the room.
あ、皆さん、更衣室の中には、
Oh, everyone, he's in the changing room. Two of us sprinted to the changing room. We arrived in front of it, where we heard you give an ear-splitting scream.
いやー、何よこれ！
No, what's this? I didn't believe it. It couldn't be. Damn, that Takeshi. The door was shut. We thought it might be locked from the inside. I knew it wouldn't work, but I was going to try to kick open the door. But Sarah stopped me. Sarah went to work on the tin key next to the door. It seems that she had a code for emergencies like this. The door opened. I immediately burst into the room. Hey, Takeshi? Huh? Eh? You was alone in the room. She had already finished changing. What? What?
いきなし入ってくんな！このアホンだら！
Who do you think you are bursting in here, idiot? Whack. The magazine that you had thrown at me hit me full on in the face. I felt a piercing pain in my nose.
先輩、無事ですか？
Senpai, you're alright?
何のこと？
Huh? What are you talking about?
だってたけしが
I mean, Takeshi.
蔵なり蔵なりがどうしたって？
Takeshi, what about him? This is another body swap thing? Oh dear. Takeshi wasn't anywhere in the room. Come to mention it, there was no emergency exits in the room at all. There was no way for him to enter in from an emergency corridor. What was that scream just a minute ago? What was that? I rubbed my nose as I said this.
ああ、あれ
Oh, that. You took the collar of her jacket and showed it to us.
ほら見てよ、あのコーヒーの汚れ染みついちゃったの。
Look at this, it's got a coffee stain on it. Do you believe that? Yes, we saw you get the stain on it. There did seem to be a little black stain.
それだけ？
That's all? You screamed because of that?
うん、そうだよ。
Well, yeah.
だってこの服お気に入りだったんだもん。
This is my favorite jacket. Doesn't really look like a jacket to me, but whatever. A translation thing. You don't just freak out like that, and if you're done changing, why'd you throw that at me?
何言ってんの？女の子が着替えてるかもしれない部屋に無断で入る方が悪いんだよ。
What are you talking about? You're the one who broke into a room where a girl might be changing. I looked again at the magazine you had thrown at me. On the cover of the magazine was a glossy picture of a screw and a screwdriver. It was a copy of Monthly Toolbox magazine. What is something like this doing in the girls' changing room? Something red dripped on the floor. I had a nosebleed.
やだ、何鼻血なんて出してんのよ。
Why'd you have to go and get a nosebleed?
君って正真正銘の新生純情少年くんなんだね。
Give it to someone named Kid to get a nosebleed. Talk about ironic. It's because you threw this magazine at me. I plugged my nose with tissues handed to me by Sarah, and I fumbled for an explanation.
まさかそのネジを見て。
Don't tell me you looked at that magazine and...
いやー、そんなの嫌すぎる。
Yuck, you are gross. That's not it.
ああ、それにしても心配して損した。
I guess we didn't have anything to worry about to start with.
まあいいや。
Oh well. With that, Sarah left the room. What, are you leaving?
うん、私用事あるからさ。
Yep, I've got things to do. Things?
いろいろとね。清算しとかなきゃいけないことが残ってるの。
Lots. There are things I've got to take care of. Do some hacking. Anyway, I thought that I detected a gleam of determination in Sarah's eyes.
じゃ、あとよろしく。
So I'll leave the rest to you. Sarah waved to me as she left. So she's gonna try to go and hack Lieblich. Okay. But an instant later, she had poked her face back in the room.
あ、そうそう。お二人とも。
Oh, you two.
ごゆっくり。
Take your own sweet time. This time, she didn't come back. So we're gonna look at the magazine and look at the date on it. You and I sat on the bench in the changing room facing opposite directions. Finally, the two of us were alone. It was a situation I had been trying to avoid. I fidgeted as I thought of the touch of her lips the day before. I wondered why we had stayed there. It was because you didn't try to go anywhere. With that, Sarah had said, I couldn't just say, see you, and leave. If I did that, she'd be able to tell that I was still hung up on the day before. I tried not to think about it. But the more I tried not to think about it, the more I did. There was a part of me that knew all of this, and pretended I wasn't thinking about it, and acted like I was actually thinking about it, but then doing that what that actually did make me think about it. So I tried to pretend not to think about it, as I was pretending to think about it. Huh? Then I realized that it was all meaningless. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. I sat down next to you and stared at the ceiling. Oh, that's right. This silence is bad. I better break it somehow. I thought I would try to say something and calm myself down. Those clothes really suit you.
Huh?
Huh? No, I mean, why did you change? Unfortunately, my mind was still in a state of confusion and wouldn't follow orders.
そうね。いわゆる一つの決意表明かな。
I guess maybe you could call it an expression of my resolution. Huh?
着替えた理由
The reason that I changed.
聞いたのは君でしょ
You asked me, right? Yeah?
デミューのユニフォームを脱ぎ捨てて、私の日常に即した服を身につける。
I decided to dump the Lemieux uniform for the clothes I normally wear.
デミューでの私、さよならって意味と、日常の私、こんにちはって意味を込めて。
It's a way of saying goodbye to my Lemieux self and hello to the normal me.
私は何が何でもここを脱出して普段の生活に戻るの。
I just want to get out of here and get back to my regular life.
そういう決意表明。
Give up on all this finding the truth about my parents stuff. Okay, that's what I decided. Yeah, I accidentally skipped a line. It probably was not important. At that rate, I figured the conversation was sure to fizzle out. I needed something to talk about. Wrong. Huh. Bad. Kinda bad. Maybe. Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to ask you about Lemuria.
レムリア
Lemuria? Yeah, I mean, I've been there with you several times, but every time I go there, I feel like I have traveled back through time. Oh,
タイムスリップしたんでしょ
you traveled through time, right?
同じ出来事を経験したことがあるんでしょ
You said you've experienced the same thing before, right?
だったら、これから私が何をするのか
In
知っ
case
て
you
るは
should
ずじゃ
know
ない
what... In that case, you should know what I'm about to do. Suddenly, I remembered and vividly realized the feeling of our lips touching the night before. I was sorely regretting that I had brought up this topic.
そういえばさ
I picked the wrong thing. But the third eye would have done the same thing, though. Oh, that reminds me. I should have save scummed. Yeah?
第三視点って概念の本当の意味教えてなかったよね
Okay, so the third eye was the correct choice. Okay. I didn't really tell you about the meaning of the concept behind the third eye, did I? No. You always say, I'll tell you next time.
そうだったね
You're right.
よしいい機会だからお姉さんが手取り足取り教えてあげよ
This is a good chance for me to tell you the whole story. Really? Well, you can skip the boring stuff. You stood up and turned to face me.
う5本
Hmm.
ではナッキュ先生の第三視点講座を始めるとします
It is time to start Nakyu's seminar on the third eye. I clapped for her half-heartedly.
当たり前の話だけど人間は2つの視点を持ってるよね
First, we'll start with something that is blatantly obvious. People have two eyes, right?
一つは右目もう一つは左目
One on the right and one on the left. You winked with one eye and then the other.
この2つの視点によって人間は立体を認識することができるの
With these two eyes, people are aware of the three-dimensional world around them.
もしも仮に片方の視力を失ってしまったとしたら不可能とまでは言い切れないけど立体を認識することは極めて困難になる
If you lost the sight in one of your eyes, I wouldn't say it would be impossible, but it would be difficult to get a sense of the world, its depth and dimensions.
ちょっと片目をつぶってみて
Close one eye for a second. I closed my right eye as she said.
そうして見える世界は基本的には平面としての情報だけによって構成されてるでしょ。
When you look at the world that way, the information you get is only enough to basically form a flat image of the world.
もちろん焦点、ピントを合わせたり眼球を動かしたりすることによって物体の立体感を把握することができないわけじゃないけど、
Of course, by focusing on different areas of or moving your eyes, you could get a sense, but the sense of the three-dimensional image of things, but
でも両目を使ってる時に比べれば立体としての認識度っていうのかな、そういうのは著しく低下してるはず。
it wouldn't give you anything close to the perspective or dimensional awareness that you would have using both eyes.
言ってることわかる？
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
じゃあ余分なことは抜きにして言うけど、
Oh, right, I'll leave out the unnecessary stuff.
つまりこういうこと。
In other words, this is what I mean.
人間が片方の目だけから入手できる情報は平面二次元としての情報だけなのである。
If a person looks at the world through one eye, they only get enough information for a flat or two-dimensional view.
要するに写真と同じなのよ。
Essentially, it's like a picture.
一枚の風景写真を見たとき、手前に林があって奥に湖があって、そのまたずっと向こうに山脈があって、
If you are looking at a photograph of scenery, you have the trees in the foreground, a lake in the middle, and a string of mountains in the background.
というような遠近感を確かに知覚することはできる。
Thus, you get a sense of distance in the picture.
でもその写真はあくまでも二次元じゃない？
But that picture is still only two-dimensional, right?
平面上に現像しただけだよね。
It was developed on a flat surface.
というわけで写真というのは3次元の映像を二次元的に再現したものだってことが分かってもらえたと思うんだけど、
So a photograph is actually a three-dimensional image recreated two-dimensionally. Now that, I think you understand that.
まだわからない？
But you still don't get it? I don't get it and my left eye is tired.
しょうがないな。
Oh well.
じゃあ今度は左目を閉じて。
Okay, this time close your left eye. I didn't keep my right eye closed the whole time. I just closed it for the first couple of lines. Okay, I guess I'll close my left eye now.
こら、両目つぶってどうすんのよ。
Hey, what are you going to see with both eyes closed? Oh, I held the eyelid of my left eye shut with my left hand as I opened the right eye.
そうそう。
That's it.
そしたらちょっと軽く実験でもしてみようか。
Now, how about we do a little experiment? Experiment? Nodding, Yu took a marker out of her pocket. She took the cap off and handed the marker to me. So, what do I do? Oh, you're gonna do that thing where you try to focus?
私が持ってるこのキャップにサインペンをはめてみて。
Try to put the pin in the cap that I'm holding. You turned the cap sideways and held it in front of me. So, if you want to put the tip of this in that hole of yours.
早く入れて。
Yeah, hurry up. You want me to put it in? Yeah. Yes, they're drawing this out on purpose. I took the shiny black pin, lifted it towards the little cap that you held, trying to put it in. Huh, that's weird. I can't find the hole. The slightly slippery tip wouldn't slip into the hole. I tried again and again, but it wouldn't go where you wanted it to go. It should be easier than this.
もうだらしないな。
Geez, you're really bad at this. It's like a panda. Well, what do you expect me to do? It's my first time doing this. Ow. Sorry.
どこに刺してんのよ。そこじゃないでしょ。
Where are you poking that thing? That's the wrong spot.
もうちょっと手前。違う違う。
It's a little closer to you. Here?
もっと奥。
No, no, further back.
そこに入れて。早く。
Yeah, right there. Stick it in. Hurry. Click. I got it. Finally, it's in.
すごいすごい、こんなの初めて。
Good, you did it, and it's your first time.
で、あるからして、
Ahem, so that is how it works.
一つの視点だけでは立体を認識することがいかに難しいことなのかご理解いただけたと思うのですが、
I think you've seen how hard it is to be aware of the different dimensions of things from just one perspective. So,
まとめるとこういうこと。
to review, this is what I mean.
一つの視点から得られる情報は平面二次元的な情報だけ。
The information that you get from one point is flat or two-dimensional information.
立体三次元的な情報を獲得するためにはその視点が最低でも2つ以上は必要なの。
You get enough information for a three-dimensional view. You have to have at least to get enough information for a three-dimensional view. You have to have at least two perspectives.
つまり右目と左目、
So your right and left eyes.
この2つの視点を使わない限り私たちは瞬間的に3次元を認識することはできないのよ。
If you don't use two viewpoints, then you won't be able to register what is going on around you in three dimensions.
まだわからないかな。
Do you still not get it? I see what you're saying, but what does this have to do with the third eye?
どんな関係も何もないって。
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
もうほとんど説明し尽くしちゃってるんだから。
You've already just about explained the whole thing.
だったら逆にこっちから質問するけど、
Alright, let me try something else. Let me ask you a question.
一つの視点から得られる情報は
What kind of information can you get from one perspective? You said two-dimensional information, right?
次に二つの視点から得られる情報は
And what kind of information can you get from two perspectives? I think you said three-dimensional information.
では三つの視点から得られる情報は
And so, from three perspectives, what kind of information could you get? Four-dimensional information, maybe? The fourth dimension. You nodded slowly, listening to me. So the fourth dimension was... Wait. What was the dimension anyway? You took a notebook out of her locker and started illustrating her points with diagrams using the familiar pen. Zero dimension. A world made of points. With zero dimension, there is no mass nor area. It is depicted using coordinates. Or you might call it nothingness or even zero. One dimension. This is the extension of the point. It is a straight line. In other words, a cross-section of a straight line is a point. One way to indicate this is through length. Two dimension. This is an extension of the straight line. This is a flat world. In other words, a cross-section of a plane or flat world is a straight line. This is indicated using two concepts, length and width. Three dimension. This is the extension of the flat world. It is the three-dimensional world. In other words, a cross-section of the solid world is a plane of flat surface. The plane or flat surface. Concepts, length, width, and height. This isn't the most precise way of putting it, but you can think of three dimensions as an area in space composed of length, width, and height. Well, all the vectors would have three indices. I mean, depicting length, width, and height, x, y, and z axis, one axis adds a vertical element to the other two. And the fourth dimension adds a t-axis or time to those three and becomes four dimensions. And because four dimensions is no longer just space, it is called space-time. One of the x, y, and z and t-axes adds a vertical element crossing perpendicular to the other three. Four dimensions. This is an extension of three dimensions, a world of space and time. In other words, a cross-section of space-time is three-dimensional. And then you can draw a Minkowski diagram. Four dimensions are depicted using four concepts, length, width, height, and time. So basically, if you're able to gain the third eye, then you would have enough information to experience 4 dimensions.
そう。空間プラス時間。
Yep, it's space plus time.
私たちが2つの眼球を使って目の前の広がった空間の映像を一瞬にして理解できるように。
Just like we can use our 2 eyes to constantly have an image of the space in the world around us, world before us. So, with 3 perspectives, we can also be aware of the cross-cutting element of time.
そういうことである。
Yep, that's it. You put the cap on the pen. I feel like I kinda understand.
何が？
What? My premonitions. I didn't travel through time.
第三視点を獲得した後は
I know, you've gained the third eye. Actually, it's kinda both.
だから未来のことがわかるんとは
That's why you know the future.
なんてバカバカしいこと言い出さないよね。
Why do you keep saying such stupid things? You don't think so?
ダメ。
Nope.
だって全然説得力ないもん。
I mean, there's no evidence.
どうして少年はいきなり第三視点を開眼することになったの？
How would your third eye suddenly open?
その理由は？方法は？
By what reason? By what method? I'll bet if I can get my memory back, then
またすぐそうやって記憶喪失のせいにする。
That's right, you always fall back on your amnesia.
っていうかさ、そもそもその記憶喪失の原因を探ってるんじゃなかったの？
You're looking for the cause of your memory loss in the first place, right?
記憶喪失と第三視点とにどんな関係があるわけ？
So what do amnesia and the third eye have to do with each other?
それから少年が見たって言ってたあの幻の女の子のことは？
And what about the ghost girl that you said you saw?
まったくもう短絡的っていうか浅はかっていうか幼稚っていうか。
I mean, it's so naive, stupid, and childish. But your mom believed in it, right?
その話はやめて。
We're not going there.
もう過去のことは考えたくないの。
I don't want to think about the past.
昨日そう言ったじゃない。
I told you yesterday as well. But, do you like things the way they are? You don't care if you never find out who your mom and dad were, or for the rest of your life?
やめて！
Stop it. You had covered both her ears in denial. I wanted to know about my past. I still hope to find it out. But I don't have any my memory nor any clue to go by, so... You have your memory, right? So that means you have something that I don't have. You have a clue. And more than that, you were able to get information from Lemay. So how come you still don't want to think about it? I thought you came to Lemieux because you wanted to find out the truth. Why'd you change your mind? Did something make you change? Why are you denying your past? Isn't that the same as denying yourself? With your own 2 eyes? Why don't you try to face truth directly? You! I grabbed Yu's arm and pulled them away from her ears. Answer me. Why? Why do you want to give up when you are almost there? Because I'm gonna die anyway? Why throw away everything that you have worked so hard for? I shouted at her, because I couldn't believe what she was doing. It was something that she would be hard-pressed to find in her wildest dreams. And just as she was about to attain it, she had suddenly changed her mind. I was nowhere near reaching my dream, but Yu's was almost within her reach. So I felt terribly, terribly disappointed. I don't get it. What you have longed to know is right in front of you. I was so jealous and so happy for you. Why?
怖くなったの。
I got scared. Huh?
真実を知るのが
I got scared
怖
of
くなっ
learning.
たのよ。
I got scared of learning the truth.
考えてみてよ。今まで正しいと信じてたものが全部嘘だって分かったのよ。
Think about it. Everything that I've believed for so long has turned out to be lies.
全部作り物だったのよ。
It's all just fiction. Yes, you are a fictional character. You finally figured it out.
こんなことってある？それって普通のことなの？
Tell me, is that supposed to happen? Is it normal? Yes, in this genre, it is indeed normal.
私には信じられない。もう何もかもが信じられない。
I can't believe anymore. I can't believe anything.
知らなかったの。真実がこんなにも苦しいものだったなんて。
I didn't know that the truth was this painful. You know what? In an anime, if you can't believe, that's crippling. You put her hand on her chest.
痛いの。
It hurts.
心が痛いの。
My heart hurts.
真実に近づくたび心がツタツタに傷ついていくの。
The closer I get to the truth, the more my heart gets shredded to bits.
私にはもう
I can't take it
耐えられ
anymore.
ないんだよ。
Said twice.
知りたくない。
I don't want to know anymore.
本当のことなんて聞きたくない。
I don't want to know what is real. At that sound and shaking, we looked up in surprise. At the next instant, warning sirens started shrieking. All around me, the squeal of straining metal echoed through the structure. The shaking continued on and off. What?
まさか
Wait, no way. Couldn't implosion already have started? It was 5:45 p.m. It's within the margin of error. The estimated time of implosion was 4:30 p.m. May 7th. Oh, 4:30 p.m. I thought it was a.m. What? But given the 12-hour margin of error, I thought it could well be the implosion. Yeah, I thought it was a.m. We burst out of the room. The corridor was flooded and the water level was rising. I was stunned by how high the water already was. In a little while, the alarm ceased. It looked like the flooding had been stopped just in time. It looks like it's under control. Yeah. Wonder if everyone is alright.
そうね。確認しましょう。
Let's go check. Well, one part of Lemu just was gone.
空聞こえる？
Sora, can you hear me? But there was no response. Oh, the control room went? It's no good. I bet the sensors are out of whack.
ひとまず空のとこに行きましょう。多分制御室にいると思うから。
Should we find Sora first? She's probably in the control room. Yeah. We put our argument aside for the moment and concentrate on handling the situation at hand. You and I headed down to the 3rd floor.
とにかく脱出する方法を早く探さないと。
We have to find a way out of here fast. Yeah, the control room is on the 3rd floor, isn't it? Well then, the infirmary's on the 2nd floor, whatever. You sprinted down the stairs. Even though we were in the middle of a crisis, I couldn't get my mind off of what we were talking about. The mystery surrounding Yu's parents, and my inexplicable premonitions. We just had this feeling that these two things were somehow connected to the third eye. Why can't I shake this feeling? We reached and stood on the 3rd floor. Hey, you.
何？どうしたの？
Hey, what's wrong? I was just thinking. The thing about your parents and the stuff that has been happening to me might have something in common. Got the feeling that the word, the third eye ties them together somehow.
ねえ、何言ってるの？この状況わかってる？
What are you talking about? Do you know what kind of situation we're in right now?
今は生きるか死ぬかの瀬戸際なのよ。
It's about whether you live or die.
そんなことどうでもいいじゃない。
That's not important right now. It is. Because plot. But she said your mom said the third eye.
お母さんなんて言わないで。
Don't talk to me about my
あ
mom!
の人は私のお母さんなんかじゃ。
That person is not my... You stopped in mid-sentence. Suddenly, she lifted her head and started running. I hurriedly went after her. Sora wasn't inside. I looked at the life reading numbers. Not being human, Sora couldn't register on the bioscan, so the number 5 matched with the number of us that we knew to be stuck in Lamu. Oh! What? In other words, everyone was alive. But why 7 then? Well, it didn't clarify that until then. Took a while to clear that up. You sat in the chair, typing on the keyboard, calling up the log in page for the database. Incidentally, Sora had removed the login restriction so that had kept us from accessing it before.
わかったのよ。
I figured it out. I know how to do it. What?
認証をクリアする方法。
How to get authorization clearance. So you figured out the password mystery? You shook her head.
そうじゃなかったの。
That's not what I meant. What then?
海月の虚空に涼しホトトギス。
The empty fall sky. A single cuckoo calls out. Brings a chill to me.
パスワードはこれで合ってるはず。
That should be the password. But you couldn't get through with that before, right? You input the password. Access denied, invalid name or password. See?
違うのよ。
No, that's not what I meant. That's not what I
間違
mean.
ってたのはパスワードじゃなかったんだよ。
It wasn't the password that was wrong. It was the username.
彼女の名前。
It was the name. You moved the cursor to the name column. It read Yuki Tanaka.
あの人は私の本当のお母さんじゃなかった。
That person wasn't my real mother.
つまり田中幸恵なんかじゃなかったの。
So her name wasn't Yuki Tanaka.
その名前では登録されてなかったのよ。
So she wasn't registered under that name at all.
だから
So
あの人の本当の名前さえわかれば。
if I can figure out what her real name is, her name. Okay, this is gonna throw me a big curveball because I was pretty sure up until this point that Yuki Tanaka was her real name and she really was Ryu's mom. It's just that Yu doesn't think she was her real mom because Yu jumped forward in time 17 years and hasn't realized it yet. Or is denying the possibility. So this whole thing is just it's just a red herring, it's going the wrong way. If this turns out to be correct, then that's just, oh dear. I'd just be wrong, I guess. You never saw a driver's license or any document with your mom's name on it?
ないんだよ、一度も。
Nope, not even once. I see.
生まれてこの方、あの人がお母さんの名前を語ってるなんて想像すらしなかったんだもん。
Until now, I never even dreamed that the person was lying about being my mother. Also, why do you, well...
あの人はお母さんなんだって、田中幸恵なんだってずっと思ってたから。
I always thought that she was my mom, that she was Yuki Tanaka. Well, I mean, you still can't make sense that Yuki Tanaka was really your mom because whoever is supposed to be your dad is also not your dad because he died before you were even conceived. Well, whatever.
本人もそう言ってたんだし、普通我が子に名前を偽ってるなんてそんなこと考えもしないよ。
That was what I said. Normally, no one would ever think that their parent is lying about their name. That's true.
ああ、ダメ。見当もつかない。
It's no good. I've got no clue. You put her arms around her head and bowed it down.
可能性のある名前のパターンなんて あまりに膨大すぎる。
There are just so many possible patterns. I'm just checking if I wrote down some name somewhere. Nope, I don't know. I don't have any other like names that showed up somewhere in the story that I haven't used. But you could narrow it down a certain degree, right? Even if she was using a fake name, I'll bet it has something in common with her real one. Like the initials are the same or something.
その可能性は低いと思う。
I don't think that's very likely.
だってあの人はあくまで私のお母さん田中幸恵を語ってたわけであって、架空の女性 A をでっち上げてたわけじゃないの。
I mean, she was impersonating my mom, Yuki Tanaka. After all, it's not like she made up some Miss Virtual somebody.
だとしたなら2人の名前には何の共通性もないって考えるべきだよ。
So I think it makes more sense to assume that their names won't have anything in common.
そもそも赤の他人だとしたら名字だって田中である必要すらないんだから。
If she was a complete stranger, there was no reason for her last name to even be Tanaka. Yeah, I guess you're right.
それにね、たとえ最初の一文字が同じ「ゆ」だと仮定しても、
Besides, even if the letter of her name were the same,
ゆい、ゆう、ゆうか、ゆうき、ゆうこ、ゆうな、ゆうの、ゆうま、ゆうみ、ゆうり、ゆえ、ゆか、ゆかり、ゆき、ゆきこ、ゆきな、ゆきの。
she could be called, and then all of these things that start with the U hiragana, which Yui, Yuka, Yuki, Yuko, Yuna, Yuno, Yuma, Yumi, Yuri, Yue, Yukari, Yukiko, Yukina, and Yukina. Only two of which I've played a game with a character named that in them. Those being Yuka and Yuri.
ゆきみ、ゆさこ、ゆたか、ゆずき、ゆほ、ゆま、ゆみ、ゆみか、ゆみこ、ゆみな、ゆめこ、ゆめみ、ゆゆ、ゆり、ゆりや、ゆりか、ゆりこ。
I didn't read anything different than what she just read.
とまあ、適当にあげただけでもこれだけあるのよ。
And those are all just off the top of my head.
可能性は低いけど、私みたいに風変わりな名前だってあるわけだし。
Chances are slim, and she could have a bizarre name like mine. A bizarre name? That reminds me, you still haven't told me your full name. We're gonna hear the Yubi Saiharu Kana. Oh! Her first name is an entire name. I remember you saying it was really long.
うん、そう。果てしなく長い名前。
Yeah, it goes on forever.
だからよく間違えられたりするんだよ。
So people always get it wrong. No kidding?
知りたい？
Do you want me to tell you? Your full name?
そう。
Yeah. Of course I do.
本当は恥ずかしいからあまり人には教えたくないんだけど。
It's kind of embarrassing, so I don't usually tell people, but
でも少年だったらいいかな。
since it's you, I'll tell you.
お願いだから絶対に笑わないでよ。
But you have to promise not to laugh, okay? Yeah, and then this always happens, and then the character laughs. Yes, sure.
よし、それでは教えて信じよ
Alright, here I
う。
go.
私の本名は
My name is...
田中。
Okay. So, in the Japanese, she says Tanaka first, because that's her last name. So they didn't... The translation doesn't... Like, it would be nice if the words in the localization matched the voice acting, if they left the voice acting in. But, like, we have something that totally, like, they don't even match here.
優美生。
Okay, so Yubise,
秋かな。
Akikana, Tanaka. So Yubise Akikana Tanaka.
優しく美しく清らかな秋香る菜の花。
The Yu, meaning gentle. The Bi, meaning beautiful. The Se means pure. The Aki and Ka mean autumn. And Sint and Na means flower. Yubi Sayaka. Wait, that's different than the opening credits said. Did they romanize it differently? Because I have written down Yubi Saiharu Kana, and this says Yubi Sayaki Kana.
どうしたの？
So, what do you think?
あ、わかった。あまりにも変な名前だから呆れてるんでしょう。
I know, it's such a long name, you don't know what to do with it. No, it's not exactly that, it's the Aki. Aki. Yubise Aki Kana. Right, I have written down Haru Kana, not Aki Kana. Now, Aki is sun god, right? Is that really it?
むっかー、信じてないんだな。本当だぞ。間違いなく本名なんだぞ。
Geez, really? You don't believe me. It's my name, is it? It is. That's not what I meant.
いいからちょっと来なさい。
Anyway, come with me. You took my hand and led me out of the control room. We headed into the Lemurian ruins. Listen, I don't think now is the time for this.
うるさ
Be quiet.
い。いくら気に入らない名前だったとしても、これは私の名前なんだから。
Even if you don't like it, it is still my name,
お
so
母さんがつけてくれた名前なんだから。
it's a name that my mom gave me.
信じてもらわなきゃ困るの。
So you have to believe me. You stood in front of a door at the edge of the room.
ここはオペレーター用の操作ルームなの。
This is the room for operators to run the theme park.
このアトラクションの照明の調整とか、空調の管理とか、内部の監視カメラのモニターとか、そういうのを行うための部屋なんだけど、
This room is used to adjust the lighting, the air conditioning, observation cameras, and other stuff.
間違ってお客さんが入らないように、このドアはあらかじめ登録されたスタッフにしか開けられないようになってるの。
This door is set up so that park visitors can't accidentally open it, only registered staff can open it.
ドアを開けるときには、指紋と声紋のチェックにパスしなくてはならない。
You have to undergo a fingerprint and voice check to open it. So what?
私もスタッフの一人だったわけだから、もちろんここに登録されてる。
I am a member of the staff, so of course I am registered here.
つまり、私の正しい名前を言わなければ、ドアは開かない。
That means that if I don't say my proper name, the door won't open.
さっき教えた名前が嘘なら、ドアは開かない。
So if the name I just told you is a lie, then it won't open the door.
お分かり？
Did it? Yeah, I got it.
百聞は一見にしかずってことで、試してみましょうか。
Seeing is believing, right? Let me show you.
いい？よく見ててよ。
You ready? Watch closely. You put her hand on the panel next to the door. The panel had a lamp that was shining red.
田中優美生、秋かな。
Like a UBI, whatever. Beep. Responding to her voice, the lamp turned green and then... The door opened.
ね、これで信じてくれた？
So, believe me now? Yeah. With that, I thought I had to believe her. We returned back to the control room. That whole time, Yu's name kept churning through my mind. Yabisai Kakina. Yubisei Akikana. Akikana. Aki. The truth was a lie. The lie was true. My mind was confused with what might be true and what was false. But I thought that if a name had autumn or Aki in it, there might as well be one with spring or Haru in it. Gradually I became convinced that this could be right. When we got back to the computer room, we decided to review escape routes, but we didn't really think we would come up with anything new. Oh. What does that exclamation mean?
まさか、これ、
Could it be that this...
これ、外部からの通信よ。
This be a message from the outside. What? Suddenly, the monitor displayed an image. It was a shaky video mixed with static. When the screen finally settled down, it showed a face of a girl that I did not recognize.
お母さん。
Mother? Was this person? Was she Yu's mother?
違う。
No.
違うんでしょ。
You're not, are you?
あなたは私の本当のお母さんじゃないんでしょ。
You're not really my mother, are you?
ええ。そう。
That's right.
私はあなたの母親じゃない。
I am not your mother. She's a clone?
ひどい。ひどいよ。
You are terrible.
どうして今まで黙ってたの？
How could you lie to me all this time?
今はまだそれは言えないの。
I can't talk about that yet.
どうしてよ。
Why not?
今まで散々騙してきたくせに、
You've deceived me all along, and
この子に及んでまだ隠し続けるつもり？
you even want to hide the truth now?
騙してきたんじゃないのよ。
I never deceived you.
確かに私はあなたの母親とは言えないかもしれない。
I may not be able to call myself your mother.
でもそれでもあなたは、ユウは私の本当の子供なのよ。
But you are really my child.
私がお腹を痛めて産んだ実の子供なの。
You were born of my body.
適当なこと言わないでよ。
Don't lie to me.
ごめんなさい、ユウ。
I am sorry, you.
あとはここに上がってきてから教えるわ。
After you come up here, I will tell you.
ここってどこにいるの？
Where is here? Where are you?
インゼルヌル、浮島の上にいます。
I am on Insel Knoll, the floating island.
何なの？どういうことなの？
Huh? What are you talking about?
あなたは一体。
What are you? The woman vanished from the screen. Then a man appeared.
これから浮島上にある高圧力送風機を稼働させ、
We are about to start operating the high-pressure fan input fan from the floating island.
ハウプトプラッツの非常階段とそれに接続された緊急避難用通路の海水を除去する。
We will remove the water from the emergency stairs near the central area and the emergency corridors connected to them.
予想排水完了時刻は21時30分。今から3時間後だ。
The estimated time of completion is 9:30 p.m. 3 hours from now.
その後、水のなくなった通路を通り、非常階段を登って浮島へと達してもらいたい。
Water is cleared. We want you to climb the emergency stairs to the surface island.
それまでは各自その場で待機だ。
Please remain where you are until then.
あなた誰なの？
すべては君たちが浮島に上がってきてから教えるつもりだ。
I will explain everything once you are up here.
こうしてディスプレイに向かい合って話すような内容じゃないからね。
It's not the kind of thing we would talk about via a display.
だけどユウ、君に一つだけ分かってもらいたいことがあるんだ。
But you, there is one thing I want you to know.
お母さんは誰よりも君のことを愛してるよ。
Your mother loves you more than anything.
どうかこのことだけは忘れないでほしい。
Please don't forget that. I mean, it's like you could say Yubi Sai Akikana is a clone of Yubi Sai Harukana. But the name in the opening was Yubi Sai Harukana. Like, that is her name. It's like that her name is actually wrong. Not that she's a clone of someone with a very similar name. But the whole, like, I'm not exactly your mother, but you were still born of my body, suggests that she was a clone, and who she knew as her mother was a surrogate mother. Eventually, the others straggled into the control room. if you haven't watched me play Never 7, the reason why I suddenly come up with clone as this thing that I just come out is because that was in Never 7, and because you see the word clone in the opening cutscene of this game. Takeshi, Sara, Tsumugi, and Sora. I told them about the message we had just had. The others couldn't hide their surprise. It was such sudden, unexpected good news. Some of them even thought it might be a trap. Of course, that was what I thought at first, too. My skeptical mind wanted to ask, why now? We felt like a trick might still be being played on us, but we had no other choice but to go along with it. There was only a few hours until Limu imploded. There were no other options left for us. We moved to the conference room and waited for the time that the water would be cleared. The 6 of us said hardly anything. Everyone just stared off in space, waiting impatiently for time to pass. Yu slumped back in a chair and stared blankly at the ceiling. She looked like a puppet with its strings cut. The room was tense with anticipation. I couldn't handle it and decided to save Scum. Just in case. I guess in case it only lets me talk to like 3 of them or something. Talk to Tsumugi. Hey, Tsumugi. Hey, Tsumugi!
うるさい。
Shut up!
私に話しかけないで。
Don't talk to me.
ただじっとしているだけで助かるんだから。
Do me a favor and just sit still.
もう心配するようなことなんてないんだから。
Because there's nothing left to worry about.
今さら私に聞くことなんて何一つないでしょ。
Can't possibly be anything else you want to ask me about, right?
よかったわね。余地が外れて。
It's a good thing that my prediction was off, huh? That's what I wanted to ask. But after that, Tsumugi didn't say anything more. Well, just one more thing.
まったく。
Jeez.
どうなってるのよ。一体。
What the heck is going on? Okay. Takeshi. Hey, Takeshi.
なんだ
Yeah, what? What were you two we were so busy doing before?
あそれはな
That was...
まあなんていうか探し物だな
I guess you could say I was looking for something. Looking for something?
そうだ
Yeah. Did you find it?
いや残念ながらまだなんだ
No, unfortunately, not yet.
まだ見つかってない
I haven't found it. Did you give up?
冗談じゃない諦めるもんか
You kidding? Think I give up?
諦められるわけがないんだ
I can't give up.
ただ今はひとまずの
But right
戦
now,
略的撤退なんだ
right now I'll have to take a break from the search. I see. I hope you find whatever you're looking for.
なあ
Yeah,
ありがとうよ
thanks. Takeshi was looking for something. I don't know. Was it the thing that Tsumugi stole from Sara? Talk to you. Hey, you. Hey, you.
何呼んだ
Hey, what? Did you just call me? Yeah.
さ、悪いんだけど、
Would you
今、
mind?
そっとしといてもらえる
Would you mind leaving me alone right now?
何か話せるような気分じゃないの。
I don't really feel like talking about anything.
ごめん。ちょっと一人で考えたいことがあるから。
I'm sorry, but there is something that I want to think through. I understand. I'm sorry to bug you. I figured that it must have been a real shock for her to find out that the lady had been pretending to be her mother. It looked like all of our guesses had been right on target. Okay. Another load. Hey, Sora.
はい、何でしょう。
Yes, what is it? Where were you before?
レミに呼び出されていました。
Lemia called me. Lemia?
はい、
Yes. Does it have to do with that industrial secret? Now, that would have been strange. Sora was already free from obeying the Lieblich restrictions.
いえ、そういうわけではありませんが、
No, it had nothing to do with that.
まだ話すようなことではないと思うのです。
I don't think I can tell you about it yet. You mean you'll tell me when the time is right?
はい、
Yes. Okay, then I won't ask you anymore.
申し訳ありません。
I'm sorry. And saying that, Sora dropped her head. Huh. All of these conversations are weird except Yu's. Yu's was normal. Sora.
何？
What was it that you had to do after that? Of course, I meant after we split up in the changing room. The expression she had on her face had bothered me ever since. I think you said that you had to settle something or other.
それは
That's
内緒。
secret. Really? This is all the things that you didn't get to find out to motivate you to play the game again to find them out. It's like the list of unsolved mysteries so far.
どうしてそんなに人のプライベートに立ち入ってくるかな？
Why, I wish you wouldn't invade my privacy. I'm sorry.
まあ、いいけどね。
Well, it's no big deal. Will you tell me this much? Did you finish whatever it was?
もちろん。
Of course I did. Oh, well, that's good.
言いなりになるのはもうやめるの。
I'm not going to go along with what everybody wants anymore. Huh? You mean your mom and your dad?
違うんだけど似たようなものかも。
No, that's different, but it might be kinda similar.
これからは私は私の生きたいように生きるって決めたの。
I've decided that I'm going to live the way I want to live from now on.
さて、ここを出たらどこ行こうかな。
Wonder where I'll go when we're out. You're not going home?
帰らないよ。だってそこは本当の家じゃないから。
I'm not. That place isn't my home anyway.
だから私は私の帰るべき場所を探しに行くの。
So I'll look for the place that I should be going back to. Well, that's the same as me. I know. Will you take me with you?
え？少年も？
Huh, you? Yeah, I mean, I don't have anywhere to go either. I'll look with you.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
でもお断りしておくよ。
I think not. What, why not?
だって恨まれちゃうもん。
Because I'm pretty sure someone will hold it against me. Or because you haven't done my route yet. By who? But Sara just grinned at me without answering.
にんともかんとも。にんにん。
Okay, so I guess I'll use my through line, I'll use Tsumugi's. But, They decide to, make everything a mystery except for you.
もういません。よかった。まったく、どうなって。
Finally, the appointed time arrived. We climbed the second floor and stood at the emergency corridor. Then we began walking to the central core. Finally, we reached a dead end. The watertight door was shut from there because the area had been filled with seawater before. The door swung open. The water was gone. The corridor was dry and we continued heading towards the center. Sara, Takeshi, and Samugi walked ahead. You, Sora, and I walked a few dozen meters behind them. Yeah, but Sora can't actually leave because in order for her to exist, she has to exist in a facility that can project her. And if those are broken in Ersteboden, then she's done for.
おーい先行ってるぞーい
Hey, we're going ahead. It seems like Takeshi had already reached the emergency stairs. Sara, Takeshi, and Samugi disappeared up the stairs. But immediately after that... Oh no.
いけません。浸水が始まりました。
This is bad. Water is flooding in.
第三区画、避難通路の隔壁が悪化。
Sector 3, the partition on the emergency corridor is collapsing.
前方51メートル先より水が押し寄せてきます。
Water is rushing in 103 feet ahead. The sound of the rushing water could be heard in the distance.
ダメです。もう間に合いません。早く引っ返してください。
It's no good. We won't make it. Go back now. The door leading to the emergency stairs was swallowed in water. You, what are you doing? Run now. Okay. Now, hang on. I grabbed Yu's hand and doubled back. His prediction was right. Maybe? We fled to the security office. You, Sora, and I were there. It looked like the flooding had subsided. According to Sora, there were only a few dry areas left in the complex. A message came from outside.
他の3名は無事だ。
The other three are fine.
そっちは大丈夫か？
Are you alright? Yeah, I think so.
さっきの浸水だけは全くの誤算だった。
That flooding was apparently a miscalculation on our part.
だが隔壁の強度を見誤ったとも思えない。
I don't think we got the partition strength wrong,
原因が全くわからない。
so we don't know what caused it. What do you want us to do now?
ひとまずそこに待機していてくれ。すぐに対策を講じる。
For now, you wait there. We'll come up with something soon. Can't you use the high-pressure gas fan to get rid of the water again?
これがなんだ。
Actually, no.
動かない。これも原因は不明だ。
The thing won't work, and we're not sure why. Huh, what? I'm having trouble hearing you. Static had broken up part of the message, and I hadn't caught it. Well, I did. It looked like another crisis had struck. From the speaker on their side, we heard a lot of hurried noise and a rush of air.
なんだ。それは本当なのか？
What is that real?
もしかしたら
Is that
ビッグウケル。
Lickle? Should be able to decode this. Lickle. Huh. I'll write it down. ... lick ... cull. And this relies on the localization team to get this to work right in English, and the localization team didn't do a very good job, so not very confident on how well that's going to do. Message end.
ビッグビンケルが現るのか？
Blick Winkle is here. Blick Winkle is here. And then communications were cut off. Blick Winkle? Sora? Okay, I gotta plug that into Google Translate. German. Blick Winkle. Winkle view. Wait. View angle. View angle is here. Well, that's weird. Sora? With a solemn look, Sora shook her head. Damn it. We were almost there. Why this? Why did this happen to us? I punched the console. I don't get any of this. What is that? Blickwinkle? Viewing angle. Hey Sora, what does this mean? Sora shook her head again. I sighed and sat down in a chair. You sat slumped in the chair next to me. I looked at the monitor. It displayed the life readings for the complex. Life readings 3. Huh? 3? I wondered why only you, Sora, and I were left in Lemu. Sora? Is that a typo? It should have been you, Sora, and I. Not you, Sara, and I. It's like a localization mistake. And Sora, the bioscan shouldn't pick her up. What is this? Is this broken? What does this mean, Sora?
わかりません。
I don't know.
ただ、何かが起きていることだけは確かなようです。
I know that something is happening,
私にも知らされていない何かが。
but I haven't been informed what. I stood up from the chair. Just then, my elbow bumped an empty can on the table. Kabang. Reminding you of the kicking of the can and the invisible person. How someone kicked the can in the dark, they didn't know who. The can fell to the floor and rolled to the wall. Is the floor? The floor is tilting. Hey Sora, can you display the map of Lemu? Something that has a cross-section display of the structure.
はい、わかりました。
Yes. Map of Lemu appeared on the monitor. It's like I thought. Lemu is slanting. But the tilt of the complex didn't really mean anything. Thankfully, it didn't look like it was affecting our chances of survival. Hey, you, what do you think we should do now? You? You was completely spaced out. It didn't even look like my voice was reaching her brain. It seemed that the light from this world had been extinguished from her eyes. Daybreak. The date had changed to Sunday, May 7th. Since that time, we hadn't slept at all. I was starting to feel badly again. A headache, dizziness, nausea, and coldness felt like they were seeping from deep in the core of my body. I felt a dull, severe fatigue sweep over me. I was only half conscious. Exhaustion. I had reached my limit. But I tried to keep my energy from being sapped away. Surrounded by darkness and endless fear, we had fought our way this far. And there was no sign that things were going to get better. Communication lines with the outside were still down. And we had yet to find a clue leading to possible escape. You might remain distant and spacey. Our optimistic leader had helped us through the days of distress. The optimistic leader that helped us through the days of distress was nowhere to be seen. Someone had to save her. But who? Of course, it was up to me. At this point, I was the only person who could help her. Yet still.
約束？
Promise? Yeah, I promise. The memory of that pledge remains stark in my mind. Sora.
はい、何でしょう。
Yes, what can I do for you? I'm sorry to ask, but could you leave me alone with you for a second?
はい、わかりました。
Certainly. When we're done, I'll call you.
はい、
Okay. I'm really
い
sorry.
いえ、お気になさらずとも良いのです。
Please don't worry about it. Thanks. Sora vanished. All traces of her completely disappeared. Sora, who had no dimensional limits, had removed herself from our field of vision. Now then, before continuing, I went to set the coffee machine to make fresh coffee. You're drinking coffee, right? Ignoring her lack of response, I said to prepare 2 cups. Then I sat down beside her. About your mother, I mean, I don't know what to say, but don't you think it's important to talk things over with her? There maybe have been some reason why she did what she did. Look, she did say she'd explain everything once you're back on the floating island. So,
分かったようなこと言わないでよ。
how dare you say that? Like you know how this feels.
もうあの人と話すようなことなんて何一つないの。
There's nothing left for me to say to her.
どうでもいいの。もう
Besides, it doesn't matter anymore.
何もかもどうでもよくなっちゃった。
I don't care what happens. Look, we still got to find a way to escape this place somehow.
なぜ？
Yeah? Why? Because I made you a promise.
どうやって？何か脱出する方法があるの？
How are you going to keep it? Do you have some great plan to get us out of here? Well, that's what I want to figure out. I bet. Look, we have to survive. You, over these last 7 days, have learned so much from you. In so many ways I can't even begin to count. But out of everything I've learned from you, the most important thing is how to live. You have to live life to the fullest. That's what you've taught me. Overly used phrase that's also, like, wrong. So I want to put that lesson into practice. I want to live... Oh, I hate this.
ねえ少年、
Listen, kid. Yeah?
生きることってなんだろうね。
What does it mean to live, anyway? Well, living means to learn and to know, I think. A child is born in innocence, gains knowledge through the years, only to forget it all when it is old and dies. Over the previous 7 days, my life has been filled with things that I had learned. From amnesia and emptiness, my life began. But looking back over the last 7 days, there was one more thing. I also think that to live also means to lose something. They say nothing ventured, nothing gained, but to gain something, you must lose something. Like me losing the past by losing my memory. Even though I had lost much, I had also gained.
知ること、失っていくこと。
To learn you lose something?
ねえ、それってつまり傷ついていくってこと？
So you're saying that we live only to get hurt? Maybe. I don't know.
そう、
Well,
生きることが傷つくことだというのなら、
if living means to be hurt, he's gonna say, then I don't want to live anymore.
もう十分、
I've had enough.
もう十分すぎるほど傷ついたよ。
I've had more than my share of hurt.
十分生きたんだよ。だから、
Enough of life, so... Hey, wait a second. What are you trying to say, you? You're not saying you want to die. You can't be serious. What the hell's that all about? I can't believe you're saying that. It's not like you at all. What happened to the you a little while ago? Was so ready to get out of here. What happened to that you? Come on, what gives? I didn't mute to sneeze. What came over you all of a sudden? Why do you think you were born anyway?
やめて。
Cloning. Stop it.
くだらないお説教ならもうやめて。
Would you stop with that stupid 2-bit sermon? No, it's not like who's talking stupid. All this selfish crap, and if your life belongs only to you. As if your life belongs only to you.
そんなこと考えてない。
That's not what I was thinking.
考えてないけど。
I don't think that. It's just...
でも私を産んでくれたお母さんはもういないんだよ。
All this time, the mother who I thought brought me into this world, she's gone. But that other lady said that she was your real mother.
そんなの嘘に決まってる。
Well, she's obviously lying. How do you know?
それは
Because
今までもずっと騙されてきたから。
she's been lying to me from the start. Don't you think that's a little pointless right now? I mean, you do understand, don't you? That until you hear her side of the story, you can't go jumping to conclusions. I think you should live the best life you can for all the people around you who care about you. For your mother and for Sara and Takeshi as well. And for me.
少年のため。
For you? I said it before, but there's so much that I've learned from you. I'm so very grateful to you. Really. You're a friend, a guardian, a teacher. And I walked back to the coffee machine and poured 2 cups of coffee. You said earlier that you've already lived enough, right? But I don't think it's enough. Because I think there is still stuff you need to learn.
お母さんのこと。
You mean about my mother? That's one thing, yes. By the way, how much sugar do you take?
私は
Not listening, I added 2 spoonfuls. I was thinking, don't you think sugar in coffee reminds you of something? You know, something that life depends on? Do you have any idea?
わからないよ。
I guess not. See, that's 2 things you don't know that you should learn. Makes you want to know, doesn't it?
少し悔しいかも。
A little, I guess. Well, if you could get out if you're alive, I'll tell you what it is. I added milk and sugar and carried the 2 cups over. There you go.
ありがとう。
Thanks. You took the cup and silently sipped from it. How does it taste? Were my feelings finally getting across to her?
とっても甘いね。
It's very sweet. She had a clear, gentle smile, liking the sun shining just after a rain. Like. So is the moral of the story put sugar in your coffee? I called Sora back into the room. All survivors remaining inside the park were now present. The 3 of us began to discuss new strategies. The walls of Lemu would only hold up 2 or more hours at most. Our last possible escape route, 2 hours at most. Our last possible escape route had been shut off, filled with flood water just a few hours earlier. All hope of communication with the outside was gone. The situation had become so desperate that I could no longer expect you or Sora to find an escape route.
どうしたら。
Isn't there anything we can do? You lifted the coffee cup to her lips as she spoke. Her cup now contained only black coffee. She had refilled it herself. Watching her drink, I went to take a sip from my own cup, but found it empty. To pour myself more, I walked back to the coffee machine. The machine was an interesting contraption with a lower chamber containing boiling water, heating from an alcohol lamp. The steam from the boiling water was siphoned into the upper chamber through a central pipe. Siphon. I got it. Sora, could you show me that cross-section diagram again? What's this perpendicular line coming straight down from the floating island?
非常階段です。
It's an emergency stairwell. This area wasn't dry earlier.
昨日排水を行ったので、
Oh, but I was able to drain it yesterday, so...
浸水が始まった時、自動的に非常階段の水密費が閉鎖されました。
When the flooding started, the watertight doors of the emergency stairwell automatically closed.
ですから、排水が完了したこの非常階段には水が入り込まなかったのです。
Therefore, the emergency stairs did not allow water in after it had finished draining.
倉成さん、松永さん、小町さんの3名が助かったのも、水密費が自動閉鎖されたからでしょう。
And it was thanks to the safety doors closing automatically that Takeshi, Sara, and Samugi survived. How far is it from this room to the emergency stairwell?
約80メートルです。
Approximately 240 feet. Really, 240 feet, huh? Well, It says 270 feet in the diagram, so which is it? Oh, it's... okay, so it's 240 or 270 feet, but this would, in the Japanese, it would have been meters. So, and they probably would have just said, oh, but it's about 3 feet in a meter, even though there's more than 3 feet to a meter. It's not exactly, but whatever. So it would have been either 80 feet or 90 feet. Those numbers don't really seem to have anything important about them. I mean, 80 meters or 90 meters. I just want to confirm this, but if you were to climb those emergency stairs, you could escape up to the floating island, right?
はい。
That is correct. And the safety doors to the emergency stairwell can be opened manually.
可能です。
It is possible.
ちょっと待ってよ。一体何考えてんの少年。
Slow down, kid. What are you saying? What I'm saying is, to escape by going through the emergency stairwell, maybe,
またそうやって短絡的な発想をする。
you have to drain the water down into this other area over here. Down here? We couldn't get there. There you go again, coming up with another stupid
こ
idea.
こんとこよく見なさいよ。
Look right here.
水色になってるでしょ。
Can't you see the blue color there? Looks black on my screen. So,
非常階段につながった通路は水没してるってこと。
that means that the corridor leading to the emergency stairs is totally underwater. So, case confirms it. The control room is on Zweite stock. Okay. Yeah, I know that.
まさか
Come on, you can't be serious.
まさか泳いでいくなんて言い出さないよね。
There's no way you're thinking about swimming there, are you? I think that's the first time I've ever heard you make a mistake. I wasn't going to say that. There's no way I can swim 240 feet underwater. Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, I've only gone about 150 feet myself.
じゃあどうやって非常階段までたどり着くつもりなの？
Wait, it was actually a 25-yard pool, so it's actually 75 feet, not 150 feet. It's off by a factor of 2. Well, how do you expect to reach the emergency stairs then? First, let's call the emergency stairwell that connects to the floating island Staircase A. Then let's call the Sector 4 emergency stairwell here Staircase B. And the emergency corridor connecting Staircase A will be Corridor C.
それで
And that was completely unnecessary labeling. The point is, we need to drain the water out of the corridor, right? Once that's done, we can just skip our way to Staircase A.
簡単に言っちゃってくれるけどさ、無理だと思うよ。
You say it as if it is the easiest thing in the world, but there's no way we can do it if you ask me. We can do it.
どうやって？
Yeah, how?
第一、C 通路に溜まった大量の水を排水する場所がないじゃない。
First of all, there isn't anywhere to drain the floodwater in Corridor C. Wrong. There is a place. The dry area in Sector 4.
君って本物のバカ？
It'll cause it to tilt more. There'll be tilt. It'll increase the tilt.
水は高いところから低いところに向かって流れるの。
Water only flows from high to low with the help of gravity.
これで3回目だからね、同じこと言うの。
This is the third time you've made me say that. I know, I know.
じゃあどうしてそんなバカのこと？
So why do you keep up the stupid argument?
それともバケツでも使って水をかき出すつもり？
Thinking about scooping out all the water with a bucket? Not scooping it out. Just the opposite. Huh? We're going to release the floodwater from Sector 8.
一つ単純な質問してもいいですか？
Kid, can I ask you one simple little question? Sure.
そんなことしたらこの警備室の周囲は全て海水に飲み込まれることになっちゃうと思うんですけど。
Wouldn't doing that put this security office and the entire surrounding area completely underwater? That's right.
ついにそんなところまで行っちゃったか。
So I should have noticed the warning signs.
いいのよ。いいのよ少
It's okay. They're there, kid.
年。もう何も心配することはないの。
There's nothing to worry about now.
大丈夫だから。
Everything's going to be okay.
私が守ってあげるから。
I'll take care of you.
よしよし。いい子いい子。
Now be a good little boy. You started patting my head. I snapped with anger. All right, then I'll prove it to you. I dashed out and ran to the warehouse. I found a bucket and a clear plastic hose and drilled a hole in the bucket. Stitching the hose into the hole, I used duct tape and wrap and seal it. I then hunted up 2 more buckets. With the goods in hand, I returned to the security office.
何これ。
Huh? What's that? It's something I threw together to test my idea.
よくわかんないよ。これとそれがどう関係してくるわけ？
I don't get it, but what does this have to do with what we're talking about? Listen, first this bucket up here. The one with the hose stuck in it. It represents Sector 8, where we are. Okay? Next, the hose part that's filled with water represents Corridor C leading to Staircase A. Finally, the bucket set down low represents the 4th block on the 3rd floor, and the empty hose part hanging down to it is Staircase B. Just to let you know, the bent hose part represents the connecting the corridor joining up Corridor C with Staircase B, okay, which just conveniently happens to be tilted up. Okay?
そこまではわかったけど、それで？
I got you so far, so then what? Before I show you, I want to make sure of one thing. If we drain the water filling the hose here, then we can move safely to the emergency stairs, right?
まあね。
Yeah, I guess. Alright, let the draining begin. Remember what I said earlier.
確か、私たちのいる第8区画の浸水エリアを開放すると。
I think you said we're going to release the floodwater from Sector 8, right? So let's release it. Next, I began to pour water into the top bucket with the second bucket, which I had filled with water from the corridor. Glug, glug, glug. In no time at all, the top bucket was full. Next, the water from the top bucket flowed down the hose, pushing the air out of the hose and flowing into the lower bucket. Before long, all the water was drained. Except for a negligible amount left in the hose, all the water from the top bucket drained completely into the lower bucket. And that's how it works. This is how a siphon works. Okay, let's prove this one more time by looking at the map. The walls of Staircase A, Staircase B, Corridor C, and the area of Sector 4 are all intact without cracks or damage. So we can assume that all these areas are protected from outside seawater. Isn't that right, Sora?
はい。
Yes. What will happen if we simultaneously open all the watertight doors in the submerged area in Sector 8 of Zweite Stock, this room without any cracks or damage.
大量の水が C 通路に流れ込む？
So an enormous amount of water is going to flow into Corridor C. And then what next?
C 通路に溜まっていた水が第4区画のドライエリアに流れ込む。
The water accumulated in Corridor C will drain into the dry area in Sector 4. And then what will happen?
今の実験を見た感じだと
Probably something like your experiment just now.
C 通路に溜まってた水も第8区画に溢れ出した水も全部第4区画に移動するみたいなことになるのかな。
All the water in Corridor C as well as Sector 8 will flow into Sector 4, I guess. Yep, that's the plan.
でもそんなにうまくいくと思う？
But do you really think it'll work? Well, you see, if it doesn't work, we die anyway. It's a hell of a lot better than nothing. I'm pretty sure it'll work. Yeah, but where do they hide when the water's coming out? I mean, if they go down to Dritte stock, then it's like the water will still flow down there. And then, are you ready to go? Sure. According to the color-coded map on the corridor, Zweite stock Sector 8 and Corridor C had changed to green. The color green meant it was a dry area, meaning the drainage had worked perfectly. Oh, the control... What?
悪化推定時刻まであとわずかです。急いでください。
Wait, they're already on Drite stock? Oh, ooh, the confusion. So, this is something as simple as just 2 floors. I'll build it with 2 floors they can access. This someone confused me about what floor they're on the entire time. This is really embarrassing. Yeah, we know.
ではどうかご無事で。
Oh, be careful. Huh? What about you, Sora? You're not coming?
少年、空はね、レミューから離れることができないの。
Listen, kid, Sora, she can't leave Lemu. What?
お忘れになりましたか？私は RSD ホログラムなのですよ。
Have you forgotten? I am an RSD generated image. I'm just a computer program.
私は皆さんと一緒には行けません。
I'm not able to join you.
ですから私はここでお見送りしようと思います。
So I wanted to say goodbye and wish you the best of luck. Sora.
出会いがあれば別れがあるものです。
Every encounter must have a parting.
仮に私が浮島までついていったとしても、やっぱりそこで少年さんとはお別れしなければなりません。
And even if I accompanied you as far as the floating island, we would eventually have to say goodbye there.
私の場合、他の皆さんとは違って、そのタイミングが少しだけ早く訪れただけなのです。
In that case, the parting comes a little earlier than with everyone else. But
少年さんが誰かお友達の家に遊びに行った場合を考えてみてください。
kid, think about it like this. When you go to visit a friend's house,
帰る時になって、そのお友達は見送りこそするでしょうが、一緒に少年さんの家までついてくるようなことはしませんよね。
it's time to leave. The friend may see you to the door, but the friend can't accompany you home, right?
ここは、
This place,
レミューは私の家なのです。
Lemieux is my home. We'll meet again, won't we?
ええ、
Yes.
私はここにいると同時にあそこにもいる。
I am here and I am also elsewhere at the same time.
ここにいる私が消えたとしても、あそこにいる私は存在し続けるのです。
Even if the me here disappears, the me there will still go on existing. Don't talk about disappearing.
これはただの例え話です。
This is merely an example. You see,
私は必ず少年さんや田中さんと再会することになるでしょう。
I'm sure that yourself, you and I will meet
そ
again.
れも近いうちに。
And it may be sooner than you think. They're gonna go back in time and meet again. Or it's gonna be the next game, or it's just gonna go we'll go right back in time and meet Sora again. Do you promise?
ええ、
Yes. It's a promise then?
はい、約束です。
Yes, it's a promise. Looking over Sora's shoulder at the monitor, I could see the number of life readings displayed there. 3. You and I opened the security room doors and exited into the corridor. So, Sora really did show up in the count. Giving a wave to the smiling Sora as she saw us off, we climbed the stairs to the emergency corridor. And then walked down corridor C, which was no longer flooded. Hey, I was just thinking, but
何のこと？
what about? Surely Sora isn't planning to take responsibility for the accident by dying here.
バカね。空は死んだりなんてしないの。
Don't be stupid. Sora doesn't plan to sacrifice herself.
空は私たちとは違うんだよ。
Sora, you know, is different from us. No way, Sora's not.
ああ、そうじゃなくって、
I don't mean it that way.
まあとにかく君が心配するようなことにはならないと思う。
Anyway, what you're worried about isn't going to happen to her. How can you be so sure? Maybe that's the way Leiblich programmed her.
はあ、やれやれ。
Here we go again.
これはね、マヨから聞いたんだけど、
So this is what I heard from Mayo,
こ
but
の間のクラッキングの時、マヨはもう一箇所だけプログラムを書き換えたんだって。
before, when she hacked the source data, Mayo said she rewrote one line of code.
空が最も優先しなければならない項目として、マヨはあるものを書き加えたの。
Sora's programming, there's a priority list of preferential actions. Mayo rewrote one of these. What was it? What was that?
他の何よりも自分自身を。
Must protect above all else herself.
空自身を大切にすること。
She must value herself most. At last he arrived at the door leading to the emergency stairs.
じゃあ開けるよ。
All right, I'm going to open it. Okay. You put her hand on the door's
ほ
handle.
ら回すの手伝ってよ。
Come on, help me turn it. Oh, right. Together we gripped the handle, and it was then that it happened. Clang. A sudden metallic sound resounded behind us. I turned around quickly. Ah. At the end of the corridor stood the girl. Our eyes met. And then a name flashed to my mind, as clear as a bell, which she's wearing on her collar. Coco! Huh?
ココって誰なの？
Coco, who's Coco? Turning on her heels, Coco ran off in the other direction. I turned to chase after her, but you grabbed my arm, holding me back. Come on, let's go. There's still someone here. We can't just leave her here.
幻覚を見てるだけなのよ。しっかりして。
We're just imagining things. Forget about it. The walls began to creak and groan. Here and there, water began to leak in. Coco!
少年！
Kid, stop! Tearing myself away from Yu's grasp, I ran after the girl. You came dashing after me. Through the voice alternator came Sora's warning
隔壁
voice.
強度がすでに限界を超えています。
The pressure in the partitions has increased beyond their limit.
早く戻ってください。
You must return quickly. No way.
あとどれくらい持つの？
How long? How much longer will they hold?
10分から15分。
10 to 15 minutes.
ですが、今すぐに悪化してもおかしくない状況です。
There is no way to be sure. The walls could collapse at any moment. For one instant, I saw the back of the girl. She continued running down the corridor. With all my strength, I burst after her. The main building lights flickered and went out, but we were replaced with dim emergency lights. With the help of the pale lights, I kept on the chase. I bounded down the emergency staircase and burst into the normal corridor. I ran and ran with all my power. I ran to the end of the narrow corridor in front of a small door. It was there I caught up to her. She stood with her back to the door. I had caught her. Come on, we're going together. I skipped a line. Inching forward, I pressed close to her. But to my surprise, after a moment, something door. The girl as if being absorbed into the D disappeared. As if being absorbed into the door. As if being absorbed into the door, the girl disappeared. Out of breath, Yu closed in on me.
やっと追いついた。
Phew, I finally caught up with you.
で、その少女とやらは？
What about the girl or whatever? I stood there as if in a trance. Coming back to myself, I tried to open the door to Himmel, but the door wouldn't budge. Sora, open this door.
無理です。その扉は私の管轄外なのです。
That is impossible. That door is out of my jurisdiction. I pounded on the door. Coco. From the surface of the walls, water began to gush in.
あと5分です。それ以上はもう持ちません。
Less than 5 minutes left. They won't hold much longer.
緊急警報が発令されました。ご来場のお客様および館内の職員は速やかに退去してください。
Emergency warning. All patrons in the park and all staff are advised to evacuate immediately.
悪解まであと5分です。
5 minutes until implosion. The announcement repeated itself in German, French, and Japanese. Damn it, open this door. Boom, 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 I struck with my fists. Open it.
ねえ、お願いだからしっかりしてよ。
Listen, kid, you gotta snap out of
し
it.
っかりして少年。
Wake up. Ugh. I pounded fiercely against the door again with my clenched fists. But no matter how hard I tried, it was in vain. Is she just my imagination? If you keep this up, what's going to happen to you? I thought that you would die if I don't do something.
少年。
Kid, I'm so sorry, you. I strained to speak, squeezing out my words. Okay, let's go. I reached out my hand to you.
よかった。
You, finally. You gave my hand a squeeze back. One last time I looked back at the door, and then turned and ran with all my might. We sprinted as hard as our legs would carry us. Splashing through the water as it gushed like a waterfall, I ran with everything I had, Yu's hand gripped tightly in mine.
圧壊まであと3分です。
3 minutes until implosion. Bounding up the emergency stairs, we reached Suite Stock. We ran hard down the emergency
圧
corridor.
壊まであと2分
2
Yes.
minutes until implosion. We applied our strength together and pushed open the emergency stairwell door. Closing the door tightly, we headed up the long set of stairs.
圧壊まであと1分
1 minute until implosion. Now, this part, realistically, once they got on these stairs, they'd be a lot less at risk, but whatever. In the distance, the sign read Ersterboden first floor. Just 50 more feet.
30秒
30 seconds.
20秒
20 seconds.
10 9 8 7
10, Q, 8, 7. We ran towards the final door. Click, clack, click, clack. The door would not open.
6 5 4 3 2 1
The darkness was pierced by a ferocious sound, like the roar of a dragon, or possibly the last agonizing cry before death. On the floating island, the morning sun strained the sky, land, and ocean. It was the first time we had laid eyes on the blue sky and bright sunlight in 7 days. In the distance, Sara and Takeshi played together. It appeared as if they were pretending to sword fight with a couple of sticks. Apparently, Takeshi had been routed by Sara's sword. I gazed dreamily at the two as they played. Tamugi was nowhere to be seen. After the escape, she had disappeared. And as for Yu, she sat beside me, gazing at the morning sun. Her eyes misted with tears. It was her first time to see the sun in 7 days. Long shadows from her figure and mine cast at length behind us. Yes, we had successfully escaped from that water-entrenched labyrinth. I kept my promise, don't you think? I turned and asked you.
一つ目はね。
Well, the first one at least. You kept her gaze on the rising sun as she answered. The first one. To protect her. And the second?
コーヒーに入れる砂糖に似てるもの。
The thing that reminds you about life. Sugar in coffee. Ah, that.
生きるために必要なものに似てるって？
Thing that life depends on, didn't you? Didn't you say glucose? Uh-huh.
約束通り教えてよ。
You promised to tell me. Okay, in that case, let me ask you, what are some things on which life depends?
水、空気、食料、家に、洋服に、お金。
Water, air, food, housing, clothing, money. Okay, what else?
知識。
Knowledge, maybe. Well, I guess there's that too. Humans can't live forever in innocence, though. To live comfortably, humans also need certain impurities, things that are granted by knowledge. To guess you could compare those things with the milk you put in coffee. But there's one more thing. Like the sugar in coffee, we need one more
そ
thing.
れは何？
What could it be? How does sugar taste?
甘い。
Sweet. It's a wonderful taste, right? So humans can never live entirely alone.
うん？
You still don't get it? People can only know sweetness when they join together. Love. Okay, well. Then we do this. You then squeezed my right hand, and I pulled her close to me. You buried her face in my chest, and from Yu's long hair, except it's not long, but whatever, I could smell her fragrance. The fragrance of sunlight.
とっても甘いね。
It is sweet, isn't it? The sun, my sun, which was clear and fresh, flowing with brilliance. Tinged with the sweetness, the smell of spring enveloped us completely. Hello. This is Chijilitter. that is the Stagulator 7 months later, who's going back and editing the audio. I'm editing all of the audio in batch after the entirety of the Let's Play has been recorded. That's the way I can get it done the most efficiently, right? So this is kind of my opportunity to go in some of the long silent sections, make some comments, especially here because this is where the in-credit background music was playing, and because of copyright reasons, I would like to mute it. I don't necessarily have to. The video won't be blocked if I don't, but I'd like to mute it. So this would be a long stretch of silence if the editor did not come in and add some commentary. So you might be wondering, is there an after credit scene? And my answer to that is no spoilers, sir. There might be, there might not be. We'll find out. Hint, hint. This is my first route I've completed. This is the U route. I made a lot of mistakes doing the U route when I did this Let's Play. They tend to end here. I continue to make what they call theories, and there's a good, nice, healthy mixture of theories that are correct and theories that are incorrect. And it's actually kind of nice, and so I kind of like how the commentary over this really turned out in general. In fact, going back and editing this audio, I tend to sometimes get sucked into the audio, right? So I actually get sucked into my own Let's Play audio and just keep listening to it. And actually discovering things or rediscovering things that I forgot were in there since I recorded them. I'm going, oh, that was cool. So it's been a lot of fun going back through this, and also kind of a lot of monotony. Yeah. Don't really have much to say here. I was going to make some comments about route order suggesting, and that is that there seems to be this impression in the fan community that you're supposed to play as Takeshi first, and I play as the kid first. I'll say I abhor route order suggestions, and you should just play however you feel like playing it. The game gives you a choice, just make the choice. But I will say that the kid side is more boring, the Takeshi side is more exciting. So it's good they got the kid out of the way first, but if you thought that this route was kind of boring, then it gets a little bit cheesier and more exciting when you play as the Takeshi side. So maybe that's something you could look forward to if you keep watching this. I'm not sure. Anyway, bye-bye! Okay, so I saved. I hopefully hit yes on save system data at the end of that, and I wrapped back around to the opening cutscene. Um, the end credit music might be copyrighted, so I might have to deal with that somehow. So if that was like muted, that's why. um, okay, let's see what happens if I hit continue. Oh, the save files are still there. Okay. Yeah, it didn't. Okay, especially shortcut jukebox. Oh, this is the soundtrack. Okay. Albums and wallpapers. Oh. Okay. Oh, silly. Okay. Select each screensaver and save. Not all of them are unlocked yet, though. Oh, there is a rat. Oh. By right-clicking on the saved file and selecting Install, the file will be set as your screensaver. For more detailed information, please consult your online manual. Okay, well. Oops. Clear list. Ah, the clear list appears. Okay. This is the important stuff. Endings cleared 1 of 11. Can I click on it? No, it doesn't tell me which. Just that I've cleared 1 out of 11 of them. Okay. Let's see. How many endings were in Never 7? So you had Yuka good, Yuka bad, Haruka good, Haruka bad, Saki good, Saki bad. So that's 6. Kurumi good, Kurumi bad. That's 8. Izumi Cure bad, that's 9. Izumi Cure A, which was the main ending, the real ending, 10. Izumi Cure B, 11. That was kind of the weird side ending. And then, so that's 11 that actually matter. And then there was 3 like casual Izumi endings. And then there was like the sides, like a pin story. So there was like 11 real endings. So it's about the same amount of endings as there were in Never 7. No, just counting that, like, those Izumi endings at the end where you're like, we're kissing the other girls and stuff. So scenes 42 out of 126. Exactly 1/3, which is interesting. Okay, I had a long encoding pause there, but I'm back. So in Never 7, we got to see the scene name show up briefly in the upper right or upper left corner as we went to each scene. But, and there was also like lists of actual scene names in the clear list, like in the original disc, and the amount of question marks were the amount of Roman characters that were in each name. Here, though, it says it gives me how many scenes I've seen, which is about 1/3 of them, but it doesn't tell me. But I didn't actually get to see scene names. It's kind of interesting. Paths completed. Now, what's weird about this one is that I don't know what it means exactly, but there's more paths than there are scenes. And what I would guess a path would be like, say we were playing Kick the Can, and Takeshi was it. If I decide to go with you or go with Sora and Sara, now I went with Sora and Sara, but that I guess would be like a path, whereas going with you would be a different path, right? That's what I assume paths mean. But there were more paths than there were scenes, so that's kind of crazy. And I've done about 1/4 of the paths. So percentage complete. This is the one that I really like to make fun of. How is out of 114 a percentage? Also, 114 what? Like, what's special about that number? It's a percentage complete. It's supposed to be like a ratio. It's like it's not supposed to count up something specifically. So, don't know what that means, but it says I'm about a quarter done. Okay. Number of screensavers, 5 out of 7. We just looked at the screensavers menu. Yes, there were 17 I could get it, only unlocked 5. Oh, okay. Cleared ending list. We have the spaces are included. That makes it a lot harder. I got number 5, which is U version good end. Okay. That implies that there's a U version bad end. I guess that's what the one right under it is. I skipped all the way down to the 5th one first. That's interesting. And scene title list. Prologue in Cell Null. Prologue Where is Heaven. Prologue Premonitions and Omens. Prologue Adversity. Okay, so presume all of these ones I didn't get are all ones you get when you play as Takeshi. Okay, yeah. So those are all Takeshi scenes. And then we have kid scenes. So Kid Awakening, King Soju, Kid Reunion or Chance Meeting, Kid Bio Readings, Kid Hidden Agencies, Kid the Young Girl, Kid Pressure Rises and Falls, Kid Waking and Sleeping, Kid 119 Hours, Kid Lyric the Mimic, Kid Lazy Moon in the Darkness, Kid Inner Trusts. 62 is missing. Inner Truths. So I'm going to write that down. We have a missing scene. I don't know if these are in chronological order or not, but missing scene between Inner Thoughts, Inner Truths, and The Return. Not even to kick the can, which is interesting. And then there's a couple between encode, decode, and abnormally normal. And then, I got stuck on the U route. Okay. The first eye, Malik, Pandora's Box. The second eye, Astral, Gabriel. Those are probably the ones where, Sora appears as an angel. Yomo Tsushiraka. The third eye, Babylon, Asmodeus, Raphael, Leviathan, Amurta, Noah's Ark, Makonnen. And then it goes blank. So, and then it keeps going. Okay. So, this might be all of the Kid U scenes, and this is the Kid other character scenes. Notice that the Kid U scenes are listed first. So, at the end of the Kid, then goes Kid U, which means it implies that U's kind of like the first one you're supposed to get when you play as the Kid. But we are missing a couple of scenes in there. So, inside the common route of Kid. So here, 62, and then 70 and 71. So we're missing 60, 62, 70, and 71. Wait, not 60, just 62. Yeah. 62, 70, 71 in Kid Common. So we're missing 3 seeds in Kid Common, and we're missing other Kid routes. Now, okay, so it looks like these first 4 endings are probably Takeshi endings, because it looks like in the list of scenes, it was listing Takeshi scenes followed by Kid scenes. So then you would presume it would also here list Takeshi endings followed by Kid endings. So this is probably the first Kid ending. Now some of these, it's kind of an odd number, so maybe there's more Kid endings than there are Takeshi endings, or these other 2 are some other thing you can get, but yeah, this is probably the first one you could get when you play as the Kid. Cool, so that's where I'm at. So, some observations here. So, with Never17, you always had to go through twice to get to an ending. However, here, you don't. In other words, I got to an ending by going through, like, once. There wasn't a wraparound. Even though there's a lot of evidence of going back in time and repeating in the game, it doesn't actually make you do it to get to an ending. So that's kind of interesting and different. Second thing was, there's a lot more branching in Never17. You could get all potential, you could get like Yuka, Haruka, Saki, or Kurumi all in your first try. Now Yuka was by far the most likely, but you could still get all four of those potentially. There's a chance, right? And there are a lot of choices that branch the story considerably. Like you could go play tennis with Yuka, or you could go to the beach with Haruka. Those are really different stories. You could go talk to Kurumi at Viewpoint Park, or you could go to the pool. Those are really different stories. You could hang out with, and on day 4, you could hang out with various different characters, Kurumi, Yuka, Izumi, or Haruka at the end. Those are very different stories. You could talk to Saki in the clinic or not. Those are different stories. So there's a lot of branching about what could happen. Whereas in this game, there didn't seem to be, at least in this, there didn't seem to be a lot of branching, especially considering that I got all but 3 of the seeds in the common route already. It didn't really let me choose much. Yeah. So don't really know. It's just like funneled me. It didn't let me, like, I ended up in Yu's ending, but it didn't seem like there was anything I could have done that I could have made it so I ended up at anybody else's ending. Like, it funneled me right into Yu's ending, and there's nothing I could have done to prevent it. So that's a little bit different. I presume that once I get Yu's ending, then I can go back. That will unlock more choices I didn't get to see previously, and that will allow me to go back and get other endings or different endings. This game enforces your clear order somewhat strictly. So I presume that there's a good and bad ending for each character. So this is probably you good, this is probably you bad. But good has 4 letters and bad has 3, so you expect them to be... There's a little bit of some wonkiness here with the letter counts. I would presume that there would be a Sara good and Sara bad as well, so that would count for 4 of these. With Takeshi, I would expect that there would be a Haruka good and a Haruka bad, and a Sora good and Sora bad as well. Maybe to fill them out, there's like a Coco good and a Coco bad. Yeah, just a lot of lack of branching and some high funneling. Another something to observe that I wasn't quite expecting was, well, I should have been expecting it. You see, I was somewhat familiar with Zero Escape. I never played it, but I've watched a bunch of other people play it. And with Zero Escape, if you don't get the right ending, it ends badly. In other words, there's only one good ending. Now, with the other Infinity Series game, Never17, all of the endings were good. No matter which character you picked, there was an ability to get a good ending. So maybe I should be, based on Infinity, should be so surprised that it just kind of all worked out right, and they managed to get out at the last minute, and everything, they were all saved. Although it left Lifeform Readings 1 behind, and it leaves it ambiguous whether that Lifeform reading left behind is either Sora or Coco. Anyway. Where was I going with this? But because I was so familiar with Zero Escape, and because this game had a similar flavor to Zero Escape, like, they had to escape, and there was a time panic, and it had a setting, like, it's sort of like an atmosphere, more like Zero Escape with, like, the different rooms. I got kind of in that whole Zero Escape mood, and so I was expecting a bad ending. So when I got a good ending, I was like, what? This is weird. Anyway, so I guess that's that, and then... So, judging from other Uchikoshi games and how they work, I'm going to guess that they may not do this, but it's very likely that it won't let me unlock other kid endings unless I get the Takeshi get certain Takeshi endings first. Or I do Takeshi's default ending, like you as the kid's default ending. It might make me do like the default for both. And then I use information from, say, Takeshi's ending to help unlock stuff in the kid's ending and vice versa. Or use like stuff from Akeshi's routes to unlock like choices in kids' routes, because it kind of plays with I know more information, so somehow me as the player knowing more information becomes some contrived plot reason that makes the characters know more information. So in order to unlock other routes besides you for the kid, I'm probably gonna have to play as Takeshi, even though I don't really want to, because what I know about Takeshi so far is I don't want to play as him, but I'm gonna have to. So the next time I boot this up, I'm going to play as Takeshi, and that information I get from Takeshi might unlock more routes for the kid. And of course, just unlocking this route for the kid might unlock more routes for the kid as well. Cool. That was long, but the reason why it was so long is because I was anticipating getting to the end. I knew the end was near, and so I kind of pushed through to the end and made an extra long recording.